Oh, hello. I wasn't sure. All right. Hello. Hi, everybody. We're back again because we were supposed to do this on Wednesday, but we had so much shit. We ended up not getting to it. This clip with Jon Stewart is absolutely abysmal. What's your take on Jon Stewart, generally speaking, Spoon? As honest as you want. Yeah. I think you're muted. We're so good at this. We're so good at this.
That was muted by default. I should really check that out. Thanks for that.
Oh my god. Okay. So, could you reiterate what your take on Jon Stewart is?
He is gay
no one
and
heard
comes
anything.
from the same crop as he comes from the same school of thought as Bill Maher, and I hate it.
Here's the thing. I really liked Jon Stewart.
Yeah, so did many people up until he did the same shit that he does now, and it's just fucking irritating.
Well, I grew up with him. I mean, I remember like loving watching the Daily Show. It's actually okay, Spoon. I thought it was an issue, but it's not. Anyway, I loved watching the Daily Show when I was a young teen, and the Colbert Report back when the Colbert Report was actually freaking funny. It's not funny at all anymore now. It's abysmal. And this Jon Stewart's been doing this show, I think, for 2 years now, maybe 3. The Problem with Jon Stewart. Or see, it's The Problem, and then I think semicolon or colon Jon Stewart. And I think Sitch made this joke, so I totally stole it. It wasn't mine. I'm pretty sure Sitch was the one who said it, that this show should be retitled The Problem Is Jon Stewart. So
I don't think Sitch is the only one who said that. I think a shit of people said
but
that.
It's way too accurate, though.
Yeah,
so I stole it. Well, whoever. I didn't come up with it. But, I mean, it's an apropos title for the stream, because this was just an embarrassing showing of, oh man, dude.
Twat.
Yeah, he really is in this. He is such a dick.
Yeah, a little bit.
In this clip, and says some, I'm gonna be honest, things that I think are kind of reprehensible, or at least agrees with some things that the nasty fat lady says that are pretty reprehensible.
May as well take out
she's just awful, and they're both terrible to Andrew Sullivan. And you know, the really gross part is they don't just imply, they're pretty explicit that they think he's a racist, and it's, I don't think he's a racist. I mean, maybe, I don't know, but
the Andrew? Yeah, no, he's not.
I don't get that at all. But I mean, he's like, not that it should matter, but he's gay. You know what I mean? I don't think he's yeah.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Well, I don't get the, I didn't know you didn't know that, but yeah, he's conservative, right? But
why are so many of the most base gay people conservatives? I don't get it.
because women are shit. How about that?
No, it's just
reject femoids.
No, because
I'm joking.
It's fascinating because someone said to me, like, if you look at like Stephen Fry and Douglas Murray, they are both very in favor of British values, and they're gay.
Yeah, right.
And you would think that straight people would be more in favor of that, but like, well, what you might consider conservatism, in the sense of you wish to conserve these things that the younger generation is now destroying under some deluded fucking Americano idea of equality, which is an absolute cancer, by the way. Because you can either be free or you can have equality. You can't have fucking both. If you have freedom, you breed inequality. It's like a natural progression of people being free. Because I don't know if people notice this, but not everyone in society is equal. You have really stupid, retarded people, and then you have geniuses. And if you follow that, there's logical conclusion. Guess what? The geniuses are going to have more shit. Because they know how to use their brains more. Revolutionary take. Groundbreaking.
How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah,
no, it's all because of, as we're going to learn today, It's all because of systemic racism. Now, to be
I
fair,
hate that phrase, by the way.
well, okay, so there are some elements of society that you could say obviously have disadvantaged Black people. I would say things like, parts of the Black community, which we'll get into in this, because they will claim at some point that Andrew is blaming Black people for their plight. It's like, well, at some point, my dudes,
Yeah, you kind of have to.
You got to take some responsibility, because it's been 150 years since slavery ended. About that.
I've listened
and
to
it's been 60 since the civil rights movement. More than that.
I
now.
have listened to these American types listen to this kind of shit, and one thing that I really, really like about their view of America is they think America basically has about, I'd say, 3 steps. It's the founding, then Jim Crow, and then now.
Right. That's about all they see.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
you ended slavery, and then you had Jim Crow, and then now, and like between there's like the ending of Jim Crow and now, there's been no progress at all.
That's how they seem to think. Yeah. Is that there's been and what's so
it's mind-bogglingly stupid. Oh, now you're muted.
The shows that I watched growing up, like the quintessential like American Family, it was like, Fresh Prince.
Yeah, Fresh Prince was funny.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like those were like the sitcoms that were on at the time that were really big.
And no one cared that there weren't white people in the show. It was like, oh look, this is a family that's funny. That's it.
Yeah, I mean that was
because humor can extend beyond cultural and racial bounds because. Anything makes you laugh. It doesn't matter who said it. Is it funny? Yes. That's it. That's
right.
As far as it goes.
Humor can be very, very culturally based because if you don't get it, you don't get it. But
yes.
Regardless,
I would actually think it's. I think it's more. Well, I think if you compare it, I think the time period is much more of
in the 90s, nobody gave a shit. In the 90s, nobody gave a shit, and now it's funny that the way that the sort of progressives frame things is that, well, back in the 90s, for example, when like the most popular shit in the US, the most culturally based, things like Fresh Prince, rap music was getting really big. Of course, there's all these. Michael Jordan was like a god.
Space Jam.
Very little racial animosity, comparatively to civil rights era, and I think far less than we have now. I think that racial. I mean, I don't just think. I believe that's unquestionable. The racial animosity of 2022, obviously the Summer of Peace was so illustrative of this. The racial animosity is incomparably worse now.
I think it's because Black people had a bigger set of balls then.
Well, I think also now they'll look back at that time period and say all of the people getting along, that was just white people, what's it called? Appropriating Black culture. We were just stealing it. So the whole time we were appreciating or enjoying it together as Americans. We were just stealing Black culture. Fuck off with that shit. I mean, it's just this perpetual. Again, I think it's the influence of Marxism comes in here, obviously, and to the far left. That is, no, you can't have racial harmony between people because if people get along, they don't become revolutionaries. That's why they push this shit so fucking hard. No, you can't get along with white people. You gotta hate each other so that you'll engage in constant revolt.
I would have said to those people who say you're appropriating my culture, I would just say to them, what fucking language are you speaking right now?
True.
Motherfucker, there's English you're speaking. And if they say, well, we didn't choose, we were brought here, then fucking return to where you come from then.
English motherfucker, do you speak it? There you go.
Yes. So quote the great black man, that is Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel Jackson. Anywho, we've been going on a little bit about this. Now, I'm a little bit worried about copyright claims because this is Apple TV. Let's hope
it's not Apple TV. It's because it involves a Jew and they love their shekels.
Wow, disavow.
You saying the Jews don't like their money?
No, I mean
yeah, they do.
That's not what I'm. Everybody likes money.
Yeah, but Jews especially like their money.
Oh my god, what the fuck, dude?
This is not even like a bad stereotype. It's like, wow, the Jews are fiscal. Okay, why is that bad?
Yeah, it's and they're successful.
Yes, it's like this. Anyway. The worst thing to be like demonized for is like, wow, you're really good at something. It's like the Asians,
Yeah.
like, wow, you're really good at math. Oh, wow, what
Yeah,
a terrible stereotype. You suck at driving, though. But, yeah.
Well, that can be stereotype lift, though.
I think it's because they're short. They can't reach the pedals and see over the steering wheel very well.
Oh my god.
That's why their cars are smallest and, like booster seats.
Anyway.
What?
Yeah,
Everyone has
gonna...
these things. In America, your cars are massive because you guys are fat as fuck. I've seen
American cars are really large compared to
actually
British cars.
there's an American guy here where I live, around the corner from me, and his truck is parked outside, and it's a monster piece of machinery. Like I feel intimidated just standing next to the thing because I'm like, this thing is huge.
Dude, somebody over here, I see them every once in a while, has like a huge American car, and okay, part of the reason is because the roads are different over here. Like they're just smaller. So I would not drive around with a big ass American car.
You're so fat that you need to make the cars bigger and the roads because they take up too much freaking space.
Dude, we have a tiny little Fiat, so.
Yeah, well, you're tiny. But I've seen some Americans like, Jesus Christ, no wonder you guys, this is why you have so much food, because it needs to sustain your fat ass.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
No
God
offense.
bless America, yeehaw, and get a double wide
God
trailer.
has blessed America
park your
too
double
well.
wide ass in it.
This Biden with the food shortages might actually be good for you guys.
I was about to say, good thing the food shortages are coming. Thank you, God Emperor Biden. You're gonna fix that obesity problem. I see.
I guarantee you that is how they will spin it as a good thing.
You know for a fact that they will.
Yeah.
Even though
America's obesity problems have dropped by like 15%.
Well, Spoon, what's the shit people can buy when they're really broke? Rice and beans.
I'll be honest, I don't actually mind that.
No, I don't either, but it's not necessarily like particularly.
Would you like to eat rice every day?
Low calorie.
Wow, I've only been doing that for like 5 years.
Yeah. Anywho, we've been going on about it, so let's get into it.
By the way, if there's any Americans listening to that and you happen to be thin, then you're fine. I'm not insulting you. If you're an American, you're fat. Well, then, haha, lose some weight, you fat ass. Anyway.
Anyway.
What? I'm thin. I can insult fat people.
Whatever.
Usually in an episode about...
Look, I like making fun of fat people too. And and good thing, only when they're being obnoxious. And luckily, we have a very obnoxious, very fat person in this segment.
By the way, we will be making a lot of fun of this woman.
You'd want
to... yeah. It's not because...
She's a fat ass. She can't feel it, don't worry.
Yeah, but she's ugly on the inside, from what I can tell.
And the outside as well.
Bothers me.
Yeah.
Well,
connect with the Cornell.
Let's just say.
I will just say one last thing.
She's a little thick.
And this is something that always bugs me about women and makeup. Okay.
We managed to make it a whole 5 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I want to ask all fat women this: why is it that you can spend so much time and money on your face above, your neck, when below it you rival the weight of a walrus? Like, that is amazing to me. Like, oh, I spend so much money on my nails and my toenails and my eyelashes, like the smallest fucking details that make up about 0.2% of the body mass, where the rest of it is your fat assery that people can see from a fucking mile off. The bloody ground shakes in your host. This is amazing to me.
Oh, if someone brought up tuba noises, that would be fun. If you could just play tuba noises when she's on the screen, that would be a great addition. Hang on, let's go. We made it 6 seconds. Good job.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, Dave Matthews, experts in the field. But I'm going to take...
Ta-Nehisi Coates also is not a fucking expert. Ta-Nehisi Coates is a fucking idiot.
By the way, if it wasn't for the teleprompter telling these people to laugh, no one would know when he's actually being funny.
Only like 2 people laughed.
Yeah, that's because there's only like 10 of them in the audience.
Probably.
It's time for white people to...
That's how many they could fit, because that fat-ass bitch was taking up most of the space.
You haven't even seen her yet.
Figure some things out. So,
I can hear her breathing. She is that big. Anyway.
So tonight I'm speaking to,
this is not a bully
stream.
stream.
As white a panelist I think I could find. I have an Andrew, a Lisa, and a Chip.
Okay, I want to point out this picture. Look at the size of her. Okay,
she is as big as the two guys at the tables combined.
But look at where the chair leg is, like right next to the YouTube sign and the one behind, like in the middle of the YouTube sign.
Yeah,
she is bigger than this chair. Like 30% of her fat assery is not even on the chair.
They do well. I don't know. Like if the chair is the same as John's, they've got those hard sides to it, so she's probably like spilling out of it, man.
Yeah, but she's spilling out in the front, not only on the sides.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. You see what I mean now?
Yeah, okay.
That's a heavy-duty ass fucking chair, man. The most valuable thing in that entire studio is that chair. It can hold so much freaking weight.
Please pray for Chair-kun. He is trying his best.
This panel is bone. It is.
Yes, John.
There's
this
bones
joke
somewhere
wasn't,
inside of her. Yeah.
Yeah, very big ones.
Right.
To my left is Chip Gallagher. He's a professor of sociology at LaSalle University. He researches social.
Which means his degree is worth fuck all.
Oh. But yeah, pretty much.
Social inequality and race. Lisa Bond, the resident white woman for Race to Dinner, a group.
Of course.
The fact
oh my
that the
God.
group is called that is...
No way, no way, no way. I missed this part before. Her group is literally called Race to Dinner. Are you shitting me?
I feel like that's like a self-own.
Is that a self-own? Does she know?
I have no
and
idea.
She's got to be
but
aware. She's got to be aware that how hilarious that is.
I will say, right, if it is a race to dinner, everyone must be fatter than her, because there's no way in hell you will not beat this chick in any race ever. Look at the size of her.
Yeah. I don't think she's winning as well, but I mean, clearly she's won.
Yes. So either she's cheating or everyone is fatter than her and she just shows up to the buffet before everyone else is there.
I think you're correct.
And clearly the person who wins the race is the only one who gets to eat if her fat ass has anything to go by.
There won't be anything left. Oh my God.
Trying to have better conversation.
There's going to be a lot of fat jokes in this, in case this is an obvious,
I feel
by
like
the way.
we're being really mean.
I don't care.
But
Look at the size of her.
But look, it's not.
You
I don't
can't
really
talk
care
about income
her.
inequality when you eat more calories than everyone else
I don't really
in the panel
care about her
combined.
appearance so much as the things that come out of her fat mouth. Okay, because the things that come out of her mouth are really repugnant. That's what
The things that have gone into her are also really repugnant by this. If you just measure the qualities, by the quantity, sorry. Look at her.
Fucking A, dude.
Her tits weigh more than my head.
Oh, probably.
About race in America. And joining remotely, longtime author and columnist Andrew Sullivan, editor of The Weekly Dish. Welcome, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I want to know about this.
The reason I say I was fascinated by that, like, you said that he's gay, is because I've noticed there's a lot of conservatives that are kind of pushing back to the gay agenda, but there's so many cool people who are gay and really based. It's really weird. I don't understand that, actually. It's quite unusual.
Again, it's pretty base to reject femoids.
No, I like women. I just want them to be quiet. As this woman will clearly prove. Or at least the leftists. If you're conservative and you happen to have some based opinions, then you can probably have my phone number, actually.
This is what I think holds back our race conversation in America.
Oh my God!
I think
Wow!
At its core, I think white people put blame on black people.
No, do you know what is the real problem? It's because white people think black people cannot be held to their own standards, so you treat them like retarded children.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what they think. That's what everyone besides Andrew here on this panel thinks, is that black people can't be held accountable. It's never, ever their fault. Nothing, no personal life choice. There's always some systemic issue that's responsible for it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter
Yeah,
if
it's called crime.
If it's knocked over the local 7-Eleven, well, Tyrell really couldn't help himself in that. He was forced to do it.
Okay.
They really truly don't believe. They truly believe black people have no agency. And I think if you want to talk about systemic racism, that's pretty fucking racist. If you really think black people have absolutely no human agency, either you're saying they're really stupid, or you're saying they basically subhuman if they can't make decisions for themselves.
I like what Frank said. I love how Jon Stewart anointed himself speaker of all the white people in the segment. That is most white people nowadays who are lefties. Is there these like cocked... Can I just say the F word for a second?
Just say F slur.
No, because you said this phrase before, so I'm going to just faggy people who have these shitty opinions. Like, oh, look, I am the anointed good white man who must care for all of the stupid black people, because without the benevolent white man, they will never amount to anything. That is literally what they think.
Yeah.
They think it is their job to steward white people away from white culture that made them successful.
His name's Jon Stewart. Stewart, I get it.
I wasn't even actually saying that, but good pun by me. I didn't even realize that until you just said it.
Rat King brought up a good point. Chip better watch out, because his name is Chip, and he's sitting next to a really large lady who's probably going to want to eat him.
That's a good point, actually, yeah.
Also, York for 5 says blood type gravy. So much adipose tissue, it's effectively become a blade of plating. Dear God, woman, put the fork down. Well, Spoon has managed to escape from her gravity, so...
I think it's because my top hat and monocle would sour her taste buds.
Yeah, also, George, how is this completely white panel supposed to talk about black issues? I think that was the point, I guess, because Stewart made a joke about it, but I don't know. I don't know. Let's continue.
For the position that they are in, and then believe that white people will lose something in order for black people to gain it. And that's what creates...
That's like...
I don't know who believes that, though.
Yeah, and also that means nothing.
I don't,
like,
well,
what
I
he
don't
just said is just words.
Yeah, but what... I haven't heard that, at least. So I at least I don't see where that's anywhere, that the issue is white people don't want black people to have as much because then white people will lose out. That's not like what about things like it's okay to be white were about. It's okay to be white. We just don't want to be... white people don't want to feel as if they're second class and that they're being punished for shit that maybe their ancestors did. But not all... Everyone who's an American had ancestors who were responsible for slavery. A lot of people came over here after the end of slavery. A lot of people, you know, families obviously never owned slaves or participated in that, you know, system. So...
What was the...
at least not directly.
What is the fallacy where someone must lose so that you can gain?
I don't know, but it reminds me of a meme. Zero-sum.
Yes, the zero-sum fallacy. That is the way that they view wealth.
It reminds me of this meme, though, if you can put it on the screen for me.
They think that it is... Oh, why did you do this now? I did not have this prepared.
We'll have what prepared? Just use this. Just put this on the screen. Just put this image up. It's this, basically. I love that meme.
1 second.
See if you can get it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, that is pretty much this meme.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the zero-sum fallacy. I guess that is the idea that... but I don't know who thinks that. I don't know who thinks that that if black people start succeeding, white people will suffer. I don't see that anywhere in the discourse. I mean, again, probably somewhere. Make it a little smaller.
That's a very dark phrase. I did, yeah.
Okay.
That is a very dark phrase.
I love that guy.
He doesn't even look like a He doesn't even look like a villain. He just looks like a businessman.
Is it like a high school? It's a high school yearbook.
Yeah, I know, but he just looks like I will be a business leader one day.
Yeah, he's wearing... I mean, I guess they're all like wearing tuxes and stuff. Anyway, it just reminded me of that quote.
It's very strange.
Anyway, let's get back to it.
That resentment and difficulty to overcome. And I'll start with Chip because Chip.
It's Charles. Yeah.
That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help. Yeah, okay.
I like the way no one challenges him on the framing.
Yeah.
Because that's an absurd thing to say.
Well, Andrew does.
Well, yeah, but I would just say that's completely... I want to ask him, like, how many white people do you honestly think, if you said to them, do you think if black people have more money and have better education and better houses, do you think this would be a bad thing for society? How many white people do you think would actually say no?
I don't think anybody. You'll find one actual legitimate racist guy in the hills of Kentucky.
Yeah, but then his name is like Dwayne and he has only one tooth.
I don't even think even he would say that. Who in their right mind, even a legitimate racist person, would say, no, I like the country better with there being poor people who don't have housing security, who would be, you know, because they don't have housing security, might be more prone to commit crimes, for example, because they don't have a good income.
It's even really easy to appeal to the racists. Just say, well, if black people succeed, you don't have to pay welfare and they'll get off the government's teeth.
You ain't got to pay no welfare.
Yeah, there we go.
You got to pay no money to government. Now, they're probably receiving government benefits themselves, this one person you find who's like this. But, yeah, I disagree.
Significant amount of white people in the United States of America see race relations.
Stop speaking for all white people. You're speaking for lefty twats.
He's saying the majority. Let's hear. I didn't even hear what he said though. Hang on, let me go back.
Yeah.
That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't help. Yeah, okay. A significant amount of white people in the United States of America see race relations through a colorblind lens. And I don't mean that,
By the way, this makes white people look fantastic.
Well, it's just that was the point.
Yeah, I know, it's like
That you
MLK
should-
to a T.
I mean, it's the MLK quote, which I know
Yes.
now, of course, weirdly,
overused.
the left has such a really weird relationship with MLK, right? Some of them want him to be a socialist, and then that turns off the right because he did say some shit that was pretty. Let's be honest. He had sympathies with socialism and communism. You know, he did.
Yeah, but so did the NAACP. They were literally founded by socialists.
Yeah, well, the NAACP
Yeah.
spit shit.
Did you know one of
Anyways.
the founders died as a communist?
Yeah,
Like
I'm
a
not
hardcore
shocked.
commie in the guy, I can't remember his name now. Willie something. I think Willie Dubois. I think he had a French surname because he was one of the people that wanted Woodrow Wilson to win. And when Woodrow Wilson won and he established resegregation to the federal government, he went to him and just say, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, we didn't want this. And he said to them, "This is oddly based. I can't believe I'm saying that." But he just said to them, "That's black people's fault. If you think I'm doing wrong, vote me out." Which is like, god damn, like that's really blunt force. It's like, yeah, I'm not going to change. I can at least admire the ballsiness of like, yeah, this is your own fault. This is what you get for voting with me and not doing your research. Also, bad politician, but still.
Turn the volume up on the source a little bit. Story time with Uncle Kumaran says it's a little bit low.
I can't turn it up any higher than this.
Really?
Unless I can, hold on. I can turn up 10% more, but then I gotta turn Aiden down.
That's fine.
mean that whites don't see race. They see someone that's black or Asian. But they don't in any way attach any meaning to the color in affecting life chances. And
why is this a bad thing?
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Treat people equally. Treat people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin.
Wow, white people see America as America were intended to. Oh my god, what a terrible thing.
God. Why? I can't imagine how you can sit here and try to frame this as a bad thing. It sounds pretty good to me, but let's hear why it's bad.
And what that fundamentally means is that race doesn't matter in getting ahead.
Yeah.
Race doesn't matter.
They believe that we are in a race-neutral environment.
The playing field has been leveled, and if you make it or you don't...
It's a meritocracy.
It's a meritocracy, and it's a narrative also that does a lot of things. It makes white privilege invisible, and it
We can't seem to find evidence for this white privilege thing. We can't seem to find any. I mean, where's the white privilege? If you're white, you're not up first for, you know, admission and scholarships to college, for example. You're not going to be hired at a company. You're less likely to get hired at certain companies that need to fill diversity quotas. You're not going to get special scholarships. You're not going to get, you know, being invited into special programs that are all designed to help you get ahead in life. If you're white, you don't have access to that kind of shit. Is that why white privilege is, quote, invisible, Chip?
No, I can tell you what they mean by white privilege.
Uh-huh.
What they mean by white privilege is that white people are treated better in society than other races. Here is the reason why. Okay.
But why can't he find it?
Okay.
Why is it invisible to him? That's what I want.
No, it's because if I tell you the God's honest truth, they would never be able to fucking say this God's honest truth.
Sure.
The God's honest truth is that the reason white people get treated better is because we are better and more civilized people. We don't do as much stupid, dumb shit as other races do. This is why white people have a tendency to be viewed by others all around the world as more civilized and sane.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know about that, but...
You don't think that?
Well, you don't have this issue with Asian
Really?
people, right? You don't have this issue with Asian people either.
Yeah, but that's
you know what
because
I mean?
Asians are also civilized.
Well, I don't
They're
know
known
if
to
I
be
like
quite
the use of that-
conservative.
I don't know if I
Okay.
like the use of that word.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
I think that's a little loaded.
Mannerly.
Maybe. I just think
When
it's
was
a
the
bit
last
loaded
time you saw a bunch of Asians get really rowdy and start throwing food across a restaurant screaming? I've never seen them do that ever.
Rooftop Koreans.
No. The rooftop Koreans take out the unruly people. They're based.
I know.
Well, like one of the first videos I did was called The Uncomfortable Question. where I
Yeah.
just showed like black women like beating the shit out of each other like in a fucking car park, or just throwing
Yeah.
plates across the room. And I said like no other race will do this but blacks. Like everyone else will think this is shameful, and like it's just, you don't do something just because you look bad. Black people
it's become
record
part of
this
the-
and go, oh look, it's on World Stars. Like only you do this.
and it's
No other
become
race
part
does
of-
this.
I think it's particularly American black culture is, go get into a big fight, act a fool, and get it on World Star, and you'll
Yes.
pop off, right?
It's
And I
because
don't-
black people want to be seen. It doesn't matter how stupid the shit is. They just want to be seen for doing something. I don't give a shit about it.
Hang on a minute. I think people of every race want to do that to some
Yeah,
degree.
but yes, but black people specifically do it like for, it doesn't matter how bad it is, as long as it can get views. It can be outrageously stupid, or just like, who the hell else gets on the roof of a fucking car?
Look at TLC. It's full of white people doing fucking anything to get on TV, you know?
Webb Dubois, thank you. That's the guy.
W.B. Du Bois, yeah. Thank you,
Yes.
Mana Yud Sushai.
Yes,
for
but
the $2.
Willy was his nickname. Well, Willy is actually, I think, how you would say it in Afrikaans. Because when I read him, like, ooh, look. But yeah, but like, I've seen like videos of them freaking twerking on top of a car in traffic. I'm like, you are the only race that
that
would do this.
stuff's so
No one
weird.
else would do this. Why are
Right.
you like this?
It's part of the culture. It's like it's.
But their
bred
culture
into it.
is stupid and irresponsible and makes other people think they're nuts.
And that's why, like.
And no
again,
one wants to just say
what-
your
and
culture is what makes people look down on you because
and
you act in an
what are we supposed to do? Like,
insane,
what are
uncivilized
white
way.
Americans? What are white Americans supposed
Hold their
to do
feet to the
fix
fire
our
and say this
culture?
isn't acceptable.
Exactly. Like, we just, feeding into the welfare state, and particularly, the abortion clinics all being in black neighborhoods. That doesn't help. I also think
Soft
that
bigotry of
the
low expectations.
yes, it's soft bigotry of low expectations,
Yes.
precisely, and the fatherlessness. That's, I think, maybe
Yeah,
that might
that's
be
a big
the
one.
biggest issue
Yeah, it's
in the black community is the fatherlessness. Is that there's no and when you don't have it, and there's no strong male figures for young black men except for people they see on TV. And who do they see on TV?
Drug dealers
Service black
and
mothers,
rappers.
rappers who talk about bitches and hoes and drugs and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then sports stars, and that's about it. I mean, and actors and things like that too. But
they act like the-
but what did Will
yeah.
Smith just do, right? He's a role model and just did some black on black violence right on national television. Anyway, I think that this is just a ridiculous question, but
Yes,
or
it is.
way of framing things.
It also makes whites feel that whatever they did, whatever successes they had nothing to do with what happened 50, 100, 200 years ago.
Yes,
It
because
doesn't.
because it's almost like if white people work their ass off and then they get money for working their ass off, that's nothing to do with slavery like 300 fucking years ago.
So if a I don't know, where it's a relatively okay. So up until about 2 months ago, if a person immigrated from Ukraine, pretty much the whitest country in Europe, by the way, I think it actually is the whitest country in Europe, came over with pretty much nothing. Or how do they benefit from white privilege, my dude? How do they benefit? Their family had nothing to do with it. They came over here with whatever they had, probably saved up a lot to try and come over here. Or not just to America, but to the UK or wherever. Like, that's why there's a bit of a meme that like Polish people clean toilets. It's a joke because Polish people come over to the UK and work really shitty jobs that British people don't want to do. And they work really hard. They don't have white privilege.
Yeah. Yeah, £20 from Kizza things. Thank you very much, by the way. Aiden
thanks,
Spoon.
Kizza.
Chris Rock explained this in 1996. There are black people, and then there are And he said,
Yeah, I remember the joke. Yeah.
have got to go every time black people want to have a good time. Fuck it up.
He wanted to join the KKK so he could
Do a
do
drive-by
a
from
drive-by
here to Brooklyn.
Well, what was the name of that man who was at Tim Pool's event? Shoot, I can't remember. Daryl Davis, who is a black man and a jazz musician.
Do you know
who
every time
went
I see
to KKK rallies? He's a really cool guy.
he
was
looks like
awesome
Eddie
to hear
Murphy
speak.
in The Nutty Professor.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
He totally does. He's still cool
Right.
as shit, though.
He's really cool, and if people aren't aware of Daryl, I know Tim's talked about him a lot. But
Croatia is the whitest country in the world. Okay, I need to go to Croatia.
is it Croatia? So it's up. Ukraine's up there though. But Daryl Davis would go to Klan meetings. The what few there still were, but he would go to Klan meetings and just talk to people. Just talk to the guys there and be like, let's have a conversation. Let's talk, man to man about what your issues are and show you. A lot of them probably never interacted with a black person.
By the way, doesn't that tell you a shitload about the KKK that they will actually talk to a black person and leftists will not talk to the right?
Yeah.
The KKK is more mannerly than you. Let that sink in.
Do you know what he has a collection? He has a collection of Klan robes because people they left the Klan and they were like, I can't even look at this anymore, and he was like, oh, I'd like to have it, And so he's got a whole collection of former Klansmen, like legitimate ones, You
could make a really funny skit with them.
Yeah.
Or burn it in an effigy and then recreate a music video.
I think it's cooler to just like when he pulled him out on stage, I was like, whoa, like that's a powerful.
I guarantee you he lent him to Dave Chappelle for that skit he did.
Oh yeah, Clayton Bigsby, classic.
Oh goodness, yeah.
But yeah, and there is a guy who went and did something actually positive to fight back against this shit is not helping anyone.
No, it just makes white people look really soft and arrogant at the same time, which pisses me off.
Stop being colorblind. Stop trying to treat people based on the content of their character. We have to treat everyone based on race. That's antithetical to everything the civil rights movement was about, regardless of whether or not MLK himself was a commie, right? Or a commie sympathizer. None of that really matters. The meaning behind that movement is erased by idiots like this dude.
You have to look at it as it is difficult. I can see how people would get defensive about, I didn't have slaves. I have not actively participated. I am a part.
I hate when a bunch of multi-millionaires tell white people how to behave.
Yeah.
Kind of pisses me off.
By the way, they have no problem using slave labor from third world countries.
Yeah.
Racism. But my life is hard. And I work hard and I don't get ahead. So how does privilege factor into it to me? Now, Lisa, you
can
her face.
Eye roll. You can tell how much she hated that John even brought up a very reasonable counterpoint, because that's very true, right? How can you walk up or hear broadcast on television to
her face is so heavy with fat and ego it can't even stand up straight.
How can you Arturitz, he didn't actually rail against communism. You might want to look into that a little bit more. Anyway, I
think he did later, actually.
Later, but anyway, it takes some real gumption, I would say. It takes some balls to go into
what the fuck is hard about Jon Stewart's life? Saying this shit with a straight face. I imagine that is quite hard.
My point is that go to someone living in Appalachia who makes $25,000, $30,000 a year, lives in a trailer, probably is addicted to opioids because there's a massive opioid epidemic in the area, and has very low levels of education, never really had an opportunity to receive higher education because they don't get special programs and scholarships or anything like that, and education is also not highly emphasized in Appalachia, for example. And you tell that person you're privileged and you should get over it. You're not allowed to get offended or to find that ridiculous that we're saying that these people are in front of you saying it doesn't matter how poor or destitute or shitty your life is, you still are privileged over any random black person, right? Hey, Mark the Cyborg for $6.99 Canadian said, I was so happy to see Jon Stewart back. Then I watched the show and became extremely sad. I know. I know how Obi-Wan felt at the end of Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, it's...
You were the chosen one.
I know. I really used to like Jon Stewart.
You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them.
He also... he looks disheveled in this. You know what I mean?
He's got a beard.
Well, it's not just the beard. Like, it's in his face. The picture I took
That's
for the
because he's
thumbnail.
trying to swallow toxicity and somehow spew it at the same time.
Well, okay.
That ages you.
I think it has to. How can you... Let's hear what
That
this...
either ages you or by the looks of this bitch makes you expand.
Well, she just rolled her eyes at him saying, can you kind of try to understand, or can we at least address why a poor
No, the reason
white
is
person
because somebody's
would have an
making
issue
food
with
behind
that
Jon
claim?
Stewart, and she wanted to see what it was.
She thought she saw
I have
a
so
donut.
many of these, by the way.
I know.
Try and get these conversations going.
Where I come from is that this system of white supremacy has done such a good job of teaching us as white people that racism is bad.
Hot take for you people.
Can you believe it, guys?
White supremacy taught you
White
that racism is
supremacy-
bad.
White supremacy has taught us that racism is bad. What?
Does that mean that the opposite of that? So, like, white people bowing is good racism? Do you see why that sounds like ridiculously stupid to say out loud?
I sincerely. That's why I wanted to cover this. We were gonna do it on Wednesday, but we ran out of time. I cannot believe somebody would just say, "What do you?" Let's let her talk anymore. But just that quote alone is
insane,
unfathomably nuts. Do you know what I mean? Oh my god! I really don't. Okay, let's hear her explanation.
But the fact that no one just said to her, what you just said, that fucking Billy Madison quote where the guy just said, what you just said, it makes absolutely no sense. Like God have mercy on your soul. Yes.
Yeah,
yeah, you need that bit.
Yeah.
Because what she just said makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Like, at all. God damn it, woman.
Yeah, I know I need to have the quote. Yeah, what you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Yeah, because that's true.
That's... everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yes.
Holy shit. All right, let's maybe... Wait a minute, Spoon. We're prejudging. Maybe she's got a good explanation.
The woman, you
for the
damn well know she does
shit
not.
she
This is not going to get any better.
Oh, I know, because we've seen it, at least most of it.
I've seen
and
parts
when
of
we
it.
talk about racism, we're talking about your character flaw. If we say you're racist, it's a character flaw. I'm bad, and I know I'm not bad. I think I'm a good person. I think I'm a nice person, and I know that I am racist. And I know that I'm racist because I, every single day, uphold the systems and the structures of racism.
By doing what?
Nice to know that you're a racist, though. You big bitch. Like, I mean, that's what you just said. You said you're a racist, right? And you said everyone in this room is a racist.
But when she says this...
But she's stunning and brave, Spoon, because she admits that she's a racist.
She is not stunning or brave.
No. But
the only thing that is stunning is that the ground doesn't crack when she walks.
Yeah, I am stunned by that. I am stunned that Chairkun has left. Oh, no, they do. Okay, I was going to say, do they have different types of chairs? But, or does only she on a different chair? But nah, both she and
it does look
Chip.
thicker than the other one.
Whatever. They put them on wooden chairs.
She's actually sitting on a very, very small sofa.
They couldn't fit her in the wheeled chair, like, you know, in the...
It wouldn't surprise me, actually, to be honest.
No, because it's got sides on it.
But it does look wider.
And she just looks wider.
No, that's because she is. She doesn't look wider.
I can't believe... Okay, so this is about the systemic shit. So you, just by existing as a white person, you have all this privilege that you supposedly, you know, gain so much power from.
Yeah.
That,
do you think we'd have white privilege in the middle of the Congo?
She probably thinks so. Do you have white privilege in South Africa? How's that going?
Yeah, actually, you do.
Well,
but for the same reasons.
I'm not sure how the farmers would feel about that. You know what I mean?
I want to say jokes, but it's also my countrymen and therefore very inappropriate. There's also a bunch of other things I would say that would make these fucking three bastards joy at the damn table and probably crack it with a shit, I would say.
Right.
Because when people speak about race relations, you gotta understand white people have a very different take that would make fucking Americans look like a bunch of bitches.
White South Africans, you mean?
Yeah. You will say some real shit.
I'll pronounce it wrong because I always do. I just think that it would be hard to talk to the Boer farmers. poor farmers much
No,
about
the
their
Buddha
white
means
privilege.
farmer. That's you're saying farmer.
Okay, I just read that fucking book, dude. I'm saying for the audience who doesn't know that fucking word. Do you know what I mean?
If I say to this audience, what does Boer mean? I think most of them would know it's a Dutch word or Afrikaans.
Yes, but Kissa for £5 says, I am racist, Aiden/Spoon. I hate NASCAR races because all they do is go really fast and turn left. Very true. They do go really fast and turn left. That yeah.
What we should do is we should give them European cars and then make them turn to the right.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Get that what was it called? The Robin Reliant and turn left.
There you go.
I would love to see a race of Robin Reliance that would last about 10 seconds. Have you seen that? That clip
not.
from Top Gear? Oh my god, with oh, what's his name? The tall one.
Jeremy Clarkson?
Yeah, with Clarkson, he's in this Robin Reliant, and he just turns on the street. The Robin Reliant, it's a tripod car.
Oh,
so
then just immediately topples.
And but it's the way he responds when he goes, "Oh no!" It's just the best response ever. I'm like obsessed with this clip right now because it's just the way he says, "Oh no," as it just falls over. I'm sorry, it's really funny to me. I get amused by little things.
Yeah, Aiden thinks everything is funny.
Not everything, but I am easily amused.
Yeah, you're always amused by small shit.
We don't start having a conversation about that and about the ways that we are complicit every day, daily. If we don't talk about it, then we are never.
You're just saying words.
Talking about it makes it worse.
But it's not actually saying anything. You're saying you're participating in these systems. Can you name them? No. Okay, what are you talking about? You're just saying things.
I don't think talking about it constantly makes it better. It just makes people convinced that things are so bad, and we're telling you how bad they are. Now you can't necessarily see it. Also, Archers, I would love to play the clip of the Robin Reliant falling over, but if you're not aware, there is nothing the BBC is more protective of than Top Gear. So,
well, it is a baby, so I can understand why.
Even a 5-second clip, you can't fucking play. I would not. This one, I'm less afraid of getting copyright.
I'm pretty sure Top Gear is about the only thing that has actually made a fucking profit on the BBC, to be honest.
Yeah.
Considering the amount of money they dump into it.
Anyway, let's continue.
Going to see movement.
Andrew, do you think
you're not going to see?
You need to see more movement.
Yeah, you need to see some more movement, and it's not going to be by opening your mouth and complaining about white people all goddamn day. How does that fix race relations? Really? Just being like, white people are racist. White people are racist. White people are racist. How is that gonna fix race relations? Oh, Supreme Emperor Keza for another £5. Thank you so much, man. Aiden Spoon, Dale Earnhardt turned right and killed himself at Daytona in 2001. So did the Democrats. Do it for Dale. Oof, dude. Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's wrong.
Oof.
Ooh.
Oh.
Framed on that moral level, right?
Frey just said, yeah, we have a problem with white people and we need to talk about it. Okay, what problem? Well, we're white, so let's start here. There's no winning, so we don't engage. Yeah, that's basically it. It's just a loop.
Right. And very clear also, there's no, as she made very evident, there's no end point to this. It doesn't stop.
You
need to apologize. You need to apologize for being white every goddamn moment of every second of every day of your life and talk about it constantly. And they're not even proposing that's going to fix things. It's just that's just what you need to do. You need to take out your whip and flagellate yourself. And you can talk some shit real quick. Let me finish this. You can talk a lot of shit about what's his name, the atheist guy, TJ Kirk. But he did have a funny bit where he literally pulled out a cat of nine tails or whatever, because of course he has one, and whipped himself on the back while saying, "I'm sorry I'm white, I'm sorry I'm male." That's what they want you to do. Legitimately. Whip yourself, flagellate yourself, and say, "I'm sorry I'm white, I'm sorry I'm male." And it never ends. There's no end goal. Sorry, continue, Spoon.
All right, do you want me to say something incredibly based?
I always do.
Okay, so here's the issue of the situation. I'm not going to apologize that my ancestors were colonizing conquerors and the blacks that enslaved your ancestors, okay, were the winners of the tribal warfare back in Africa. because they stayed there, and then your ancestors got shipped off because they were beaten in tribal warfare. That is the God's honest truth. No one wants to say that shit,
Well-
but that is the God's honest truth. Your ancestors were sold because they were getting their asses kicked by other Africans.
You can't talk about that part. You can't talk about that aspect.
I will,
ever.
because like I'm from fucking Africa. I can say whatever the hell I damn well please.
I know. You're more African than everyone on this panel. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm
more African than most of the blacks in America. I can say I actually come from Africa.
The reality is that like none. Sorry, now I lost my train of thought. No one wants to talk.
These people should read Thomas Sowell's Black Rednecks and White Liberals.
Precisely. Yeah, a great book.
That's a great book.
And I highly recommend if anyone's not read it. It is a fantastic read. And
good.
Thomas Sowell's writing is always very accessible.
And it also makes you go, holy shit. So
it
much
makes
of
you
this
go,
makes sense now.
holy shit. Yeah,
there's no way in hell someone's going to present that book in the main public.
I
would lose their
genuine
fucking minds.
I know. I generally recommend most of Thomas Sowell's library. I think that everyone should read Basic Economics, and I would highly suggest that most Americans read White Rednecks and
Black Rednecks and White Liberals.
Black Rednecks, White Liberals.
Yeah.
I always get it confused.
Yeah, Visions of the Anointed is really good as well.
All of his books that I've read have been fantastic. Anyway, the point is that it's fascinating that nobody ever wants to talk about the fact that Black people were sold into slavery by other Black Africans. You know, white people. I mean, maybe there was some of that going on, but the vast majority of slavery was conducted by Africans against other Africans that they saw often, by the way, as inferior, ethnically, racially, tribally. You know, maybe not race because there wasn't such a concept there, but would have been the same kind of function. This tribe is inferior, and we just don't care about them. And by the way, slavery still exists today. It exists in America, and it's gone on in Africa up until very, very
banking.
recently. Well, okay. Technical slavery versus the definition of literal chain slavery. It does still happen. It's not over. And again, no one wants to talk about that shit, do they?
I was on a If you guys have ever seen the Rubin Report, there's a black guy they had once there, Tommy Sotomayor. I've actually been on his show a fair few times, and
Tommy's great.
I defended slavery in that old sense.
Well,
yeah, because I said if you think of it like
it's a bold strategy, Cotton. See if it plays out for him.
Yeah, but the chat agreed with it because it just made sense. I just said like, look, if you look at it from this perspective, okay.
Okay.
If you look at the black people living in Africa, the native Africans, the Europeans are not a threat to them. They're thousands of miles away on a different freaking continent. Their immediate threat is other tribal people in the land encroaching on theirs. So there's tribal warfare in the land, as there is with every other bloody place on earth, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
So if somebody can come to you from a different land and take away the people that you captured that are trying to kill you and take your land, and these white people, these Europeans come and say, hey, look, we'll trade you weaponry and take them away as slaves. Your mind's going to go, that's fantastic. These people are trying to kill me. Leave. I never get to see them again. And I can trade them for weaponry to defend my land against other people who are trying to encroach. That's a win-win for them. They don't give a shit about the white people.
Sure.
Yes.
For them,
it's a win-win for them, because what's my first concern? Safety. This is a win-win. They go away and I also get weapons. That's what they traded these people for.
Yeah, I don't know if you're defending slavery, though. You're just explaining why it happened.
Yes.
And also, I do want to be clear, both Frog and Keza, it does still exist, and particularly in Libya, which was so glad we that the French and
Liberia,
UK
not Libya.
and US.
It's Liberia.
Libya?
No, it's Liberia. Not Libya.
Liberia is on the coast.
Yeah, but Liberia is the place that had the slavery.
Is that where there's open slave markets?
Yes. That's
I
also
think
where
there's slavery in Libya though too.
I don't know.
That's North
Well,
Africa.
there might be now because it would.
Because they overthrew Gaddafi.
Yeah, exactly. I also know in Liberia
sure
they
there
eat
are.
people.
Yeah, it was a mostly stable country.
But remember,
I mean, like,
Aiden, all cultures are beautiful. Even the
No,
cannibal ones.
no. See, Libya wasn't a good country because they didn't have liberal hegemony. Then they had a revolution.
I heard that
overthrew
Gaddafi was
big
actually a
nasty
pretty
man.
good leader, actually,
Yeah,
despite the fact that he was like
in terms of
a dictator. For like
Libya
20
was
years.
doing pretty okay comparatively to its neighbors. Then we overthrew the horrible dictator, and he was an autocrat, to be fair. But things have gotten way worse. way worse. Yeah,
But
George also says
an
Libya has slave
autocrat
markets.
doesn't mean the leader will be bad. It just means that you can't vote for the next guy. People seem to think, oh, that's such a terrible thing. Yeah, it's just that
It depends on the country,
this was for most of
unfortunately.
our fucking history. We didn't have voting. Voting is relatively new as far as our
Right, and
civilizations go.
it depends on the state of the country. You know, in a country like Libya, they were not ready for democracy, if you want to put it that way. So that's why things went
It's 'cause
absolutely to shit
democracy
after
is
they overthrew
gay.
Gaddafi. Yeah. Yeah.
In case people
Frank,
didn't notice
Gaddafi.
this, myself and
Yeah.
Aiden are not a fan of democracy.
Yeah, we have serious concerns with it, particularly like liberal hegemony and the spreading of democracy forcefully into countries
Monarchy.
where.
But Aiden is not as based as I am. Aiden is still like flirting with constitutionalism, and I'm like, no, give me the absolute. Your constitution is gay, your parliamentary crap is gay. Like, no, give me the absolute. Mark is like, no, I will rule with an iron fist.
Well, that's you, homie.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
the iron fist can crush the alphabet people with way better efficiency than anyone else can.
I don't want to crush anybody.
Really?
Look, that's what this big lady wants to do. Well,
No, she just wants to sit on them.
hence crush them. Politically and physically. I guarantee there is somebody who will pay her on OnlyFans to do just that. Oh, the state of the world. Speaking of which, look at Jon Stewart's it's very much a depressed looking face.
He does look homeless, actually, despite this.
He really does look homeless.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's not just that he's old and he's got a beard. There's something about him that just looks like they've drained the life out of him. You know?
That's because they're saying in order for you to sustain yourself, you need to be pumped with this poison. And you need to also spew it.
It makes me sad. It really does.
Yeah, because I don't think he actually believes all of this shit. I'm gonna be honest.
Because he was a classical liberal. He always was. And now look what he has been diminished to. Forced to sit here and hear these people fucking talk about how racism is a good thing.
But now he looks like a cock and Tucker is mixed.
Listen to some fat woman tell him about
Neil
not being
Suspenders, he looks
racist
broken.
is white supremacy. What are you gonna do? Oh my god!
This picture right now is a good caption for just what the hell am I doing with my life? How did I get here? Yeah.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
It sucks to be with you again.
Qualifying of it make resentment the natural outcome of that.
Because you're saying all white people are terrible. That gets to like piss people off.
And it's gonna create resentment. And you know what it's gonna create?
And also,
you're gonna create racists.
You're also saying that all black people are exactly the same, which is absurd. But
and all white people are the same.
We're not.
But remember, again, not being racist is white supremacy. We've already learned this. But as John pointed out, you're gonna create resentment, which is what's happening and has been happening for the last couple of years. You are gonna create resentment in white people. There's a line from, and I remember I showed you this, when Sam Hyde did his speech at Drexel, where he's dressed up as in the shitty little plastic Roman centurion armor.
Yes.
One of the lines he says in that video about 2077 paradigm shift is that, and I'll never forget this line, eventually white people are going to get sick of it. And I think he brings up a real point. You keep doing this, eventually white people are going to get sick of it.
Yeah.
Your only real hope is that they all die out by then, I guess.
Yeah, because historically speaking, pissing off white people does not end well. We organize really, really fast.
Historically speaking, really pissing off white people, not a good idea.
Yeah, we tend to bomb you into smithereens, and then we'll keep doing it up until you surrender in submission.
Again, I'm a cucked bitch boy libertarian bitch girl, I guess. I don't know. Let's start a rumor. Just bitch boy sounds better because it's
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to strengthen her spine and attitude by moving her towards the absolute monarch.
Yeah,
I will get there, and so will you.
I'll see.
I love what the Racking just said.
My only point was that I just don't like violence, but I don't know what you're gonna do.
I love what Racking just said. While I agree we need more strength in politics, I disagree with the other absolute end. Yes, move that direction. No, staying that way. I can roll over to France Republic. That's fine. You can be wrong. You know, that's no problem. But the absolute is the way to go. Even fucking Molbug said this. Like, he's just said we should have a true election, and one person gets absolute power over everything. I was like, even I think that is a very
that's a little
extreme.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
but I do think and I've said this before.
The elites will never allow true elections. It's the whole thing.
Yeah, I know, but that's his position. But this is what people need to realize, and I've said this before. When people think the absolute ruler, they think all of the political apparatus, all the power that apparatus has now is done to one person. And like, no. You can be an absolute ruler, but unless you have an army or bureaucracy to enforce it, your absolute power is quite limited by how big the bureaucracy is. If you drastically reduce it, like if you say like gave Donald Trump absolute power now, but you made the government 95% smaller, how much damage could he actually do? Not much.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have a lot of restructuring of the government. But the problem with democracies, as we see in the United States, for example, is the massive bloat of bureaucracy.
Yes.
Right? It gets larger, and the government never gets smaller. It always gets larger and larger and larger, and you end up with bills that are 1,000 pages long, and no one knows what the hell they really do because everyone's put their own little individual pet project into there, and it costs trillions of dollars, and no one knows what the hell it goes to, because no one has even the politicians don't have the time to bother to read this shit because they don't care. All they care about is getting reelected.
Yeah,
that's all that anyone cares about in a democratic system. It's just re-election.
The reason I find that argument so fascinating, because I've had arguments with people, and people can't wrap their fucking heads around that, and I'm thinking like, what the hell do you think libertarianism is? Is smaller government so they can do less stupid shit. But if you have that same thing with one ruler, they think like, oh, this is madness. Like, how is this any different than your conception of government? It's just instead of a select group of people like democracy, it's just one person who has more power, but the bureaucracy is still quite small. And he's not going to expand it because it costs fucking money.
Yeah. Let's get back to it, sorry.
No, but that's what someone just said. Like the absolute power can recreate the master state, but why? Like, there's no point to that.
The fear that our turrets has is that someone in the position of a monarch would want to just expand their power, and would never have any reason for not doing so because everyone's power mad. However, there's reasons why a monarch would not want to try to like expand their power, and the main reason is because
it costs money.
It costs money, and there's not a big bureaucracy in the way. It's just you, and you are held accountable, not in traditional monarchy to God first and foremost, but then to the people as well. And when you have a truly corrupt monarch, what has happened every time throughout history is you get a revolt.
They get killed.
And they get killed. So that's eventually, and people don't like this, but the reality is that the power of the people in the monarchic system is at the end of a gun. Right?
What do you mean, why? Someone just said, what do you mean, why? The point is to gain more power. They're an absolute monarch. They already have all the power. What are you going to tempt them with?
we should not speak in unison, unfortunately.
Like, it's very difficult to corrupt someone when they already have absolute power. It's just there. If you have the money, you exchange it for power. No, if you already have the ultimate power, it's like, how can I best expand my kingdom? And that is to get the hell out of the way.
You want to protect your power. You already have all the power, right?
Yes.
So you can't gain any more. So instead, you want to protect your power. And what do you do to protect your power? Try not to get killed by improving the lives of your subjects, improving the status of your country. That's well, apparently you've convinced Kizza, Spoon. Kizza for 5 pounds.
No, anyone who wants power is someone you do not give power to.
Very, very true. Very true. But Kizza for 5 says, Spoon, you've convinced me. I do want an absolute monarchy, and I'll do the job properly, unlike the current monarch, and you all can thank me later. I would say, well, Lizzie's on her last leg, and I'm not so sure about the UK monarchy, honestly. I don't think it's headed in a good direction.
Yeah, It's quite strange because I think for a lot of people, it's a case of the monarch is raised in a certain way, and people just think like, oh, what the hell. The reason I find it funny is people seem to think that a lot of the Westerners think, well, you're shaped by your cultural experiences, but if you do this in a monarch, they will just regress to power-hungry psychopaths the second they get power. It's like, so you think that power is so tempting that it will just destroy everything that you have been raised to believe.
Right, and the difference is that the monarch is born into that position, where with a democracy, who ends up running for power? People who want power, not people who are basically burdened with it. That is a
Yes.
difference. Now, again, it goes back to that Riverroll quote that I always bring up. I always bring it up because it's so important to be clear about. It's the absolute ruler, maybe a Nero, but he is sometimes a Titus or a Marcus Aurelius. The people, is often a Nero, but never Mark Aurelius.
Yes. Also, monarchy has lasted 800 years in Britain. Is democracy at this rate going to last 800 years? Fuck no.
Right. For monarchy to
No.
work, one man must be wise. For democracy to work, a majority of the people must be wise,
And they're
which is
not.
more likely. That's Charles Maurras. I can keep dropping quotes. I got a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, and there's a better chance that the one person is going to be sane. You need the Ron Swanson. Like
Yes,
one person
actually,
who's selected on
yeah.
IQ, just sitting in a room. He just
Fun-
gets a child who's
Spoon and I were talking about this the other day. About Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. His whole character arc. If no one here is familiar with Parks and Rec,
Uber libertarian.
is that Ron Swanson is a libertarian who works for the government because he basically actively wants to subvert the government by slowing it down and shitting on it as much as possible, which is great. He's a hilarious character. Amy Poehler, who created the show, wanted Ron to be seen as an idiot and like a stupid character, but he ended up being a breakout success that everybody loved and thought was amazing and funny and witty. And so they kind of had to continue to write him that way. And because people didn't hate him the way that Amy wanted them to. They actually really liked him. They liked his libertarian beliefs. And we were saying like somebody like Ron, who has contempt for the government and hates government spending and just wants to slash everything, all the government spending, would be someone who doesn't want power, specifically does not want power. That would be someone who would be a good monarch.
Yeah, like Mulbuck said,
it's a fictional character, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, Mulbuck said that you shouldn't have like a king in the traditional sense. What you should have is a CEO, and turn the country into a corporation and run it like a business, which I think is what Trump tried to do, and he's actually doing pretty well.
Yeah. Also, Frag, you're right. The same thing happened with Alec Baldwin's character on 30 Rock. Same exact thing. Tina Fey was like, "I'm going to create this Trump character, and Alec Baldwin's going to play him, and he's supposed to be an asshole, and he's everyone's favorite character." Now, Alec Baldwin is a piece of shit, but I love his character on 30 Rock.
Doesn't that just tell you something? That when people try to create an obnoxious character that they think people would like,
parody of a conservative.
Yes,
and then everyone likes it,
and then the fans like it. Does that not make you go, "Why did I make this character that's supposed to be hated? That what I think people would hate, and they end up liking them? Am I maybe missing something with the audience?"
Yeah, obviously they were confused.
I mean, if that was the case, I would go, if I would like looking at forums like, why does everyone like this character so much? Or what he's based, he likes meat and thinks the government sucks. And he wants less taxes. Like, why is that? That's regular people actually kind of like that.
There's an episode where the local government gets audited, and Ron just like slash it, just cut everything, and he's just giddy. He's like he's so happy. He's so happy. He's like, yes, cut everything. I love it, dude. I love it.
Yeah, 'cause it's
anyway,
great.
we've gone off on a fucking tangent. Let's get back because finally, oh my god, now his name's escaping me. Andrew here is going to speak.
Yes.
Is that it's very hard to agree with some of the very premises that are being expressed tonight.
Yeah, I agree.
As if everything is already settled. We know this country is, for example, a white supremacy. Well, I don't believe that. I think it's possibly the most absurd hyperbole I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I'm an immigrant, so I have a slightly different view of this. I can tell you, America, in 2022,
bitch, would you tilt your fucking head up and stop looking like such a smug fat ass?
Oh my god, look at dude, I didn't even see that. Kizza also for 5 more pounds. Thank you so much, dude. You don't have to keep giving super chats. Aiden Spoon. All I want is a nice log cabin, a big family, a large car collection, and many, many, many puppies. Very based, and that's a wholesome objective. Wholesome goal that I fully support. And Godspeed to you, man.
Basically, the people who get triggered by monarchy, that's because you don't read enough.
Oh, don't worry about it. Like, guys, if it sounds like we're saying really crazy shit about the monarchy stuff,
it's because you're not enlightened enough.
Don't be a like this.
Yeah,
this is
but
always,
here's the thing: you get to be the good cop, I get to be the asshole.
I was gonna say we're always good cop, bad cop, but okay.
Aiden is nice and sweet and soft and mushy, whereas I'm an asshole, and I'm very happy about that.
I think there's a lot that Arturitz is a good guy. I've spoken to him extensively, but like, it's just a different perspective. I'm sorry that it's a little triggering, but we've
I
read a
enjoy
whole lot
triggering
about
people.
it. I know you do. I actually don't. I like to try and
Yeah, look at you trying to bridge the gap.
I like
with people.
triggering some people. Okay, I like triggering some people, not all people. All right, but yeah, look at her fucking face, dude. She can't. The other guy looks.
That is
he's
the
just
face of
pissed
someone
inside.
who's saying like, "Oh, God, it's been 30 seconds since I've eaten something."
Since I've been able to say
Off
what the
my
fuck I
face.
think, I can't believe I'm not talking right now. I'm not having my opinion shared. You can't look at how they react to hearing any pushback.
Dissenting opinion.
By the way, from an immigrant to America, he's British, right? So not a native Yank who's experienced something different from you.
Impressed that you say that, by the way.
What?
I'm impressed that you say Yank.
I've
That's
been here for a
very
while.
impressive, by the way. Well done. Because I know that triggers
Anyway.
the shit out of Americans, because to them it means a New Yorker. And
No,
to
it
like
means
foreigners.
Northerner. It means
Oh, does it?
Northerner.
Okay, because like to all of us, it just means an American.
Yes, I know, but to in America, Yankee means northern, someone from the north in terms of from the Civil War.
By the way,
era.
is it not funny that this woman says we should have a discussion, and the second this guy says something that disagrees with her, she pulls that fucking face?
Keza for another 5 pounds, dude. Thank you. Aiden Spoon, me as king, my first job is to deal with the European question and make them an offer they can't refuse. 400 trillion pounds to Britannia. Rule Britannia.
First of all, where the hell are you going to get 400
Where do you
trillion
get
pounds
400
from?
trillion pounds though from? Good question. Yeah, I don't mind yank, by the way, either as a term. But they're disgusted because these. Okay, we have 3 yanks here though, to use the terminology. And this woman is disgusted that he
No,
has
there's
a different
5 yanks.
opinion.
That bitch counts for at least 3.
Yeah, she's probably at least 3 people. But she's just look at her fucking face. Is disgusted that he has a different perspective from her, even though he's lived a very different life. Again, gay man, immigrant.
Do you know what her face looks like?
She's disgusted without even fully hearing his argument of
Okay.
a gay immigrant, and
Just-
she's disgusted.
No, by
wow,
the way-
doesn't seem very progressive to me.
By the way, I think people know what I'm going to reference. How many of you are familiar with that 70s show?
I never watched it.
Okay, so those of you in the chat, do you remember the episode where Red catches them getting high, and they're talking to all 4 of them, or at least I think 3 of them, and they're talking to Hyde, Eric, and Kelso, and Hyde just starts staring at a Twinkie, and his head goes to the side, and he just starts drooling, staring at the Twinkie, like he has that exact
that
face.
looks like she saw a Twinkie in the distance. Isn't
Yes,
it?
he's got that exact
fixated.
same face.
I
No,
never watched
can't.
that 70s show.
It's such a good show.
Dude, all the really annoying, bitchy girls in my middle school had a crush on Ashton Kutcher. And so they didn't even like the show. They just had a crush on Ashton Kutcher.
He was
and
a
they would
funny
just talk-
character, though.
They would just talk about him all the time. And so I developed a natural, like, animosity towards the show, even though I've never seen it. Just because, like, I don't want to fucking watch this shit.
But he's actually a good actor in the show. Like, he makes
sure he
the
is.
show.
I've just never... Also, Allison Hannigan's in it, isn't she?
I think so.
Yeah. She played Willow in Buffy.
Oh, yeah, she was later in the series, yes.
Yeah, so I was kind of motivated to watch it because I love Allison Hannigan, but that was about it. Anyway, sorry, that's a total tangent. But yeah, she does look like she's looking at a Twinkie. But this is just disrespectful too. To be
She's
making
angry
mugging.
that she can't get her hands on the Twinkies.
It's disrespectful to be mugging at the camera like this while he's trying to make his fucking point. You
She's a
nasty...
leftist. What they have to expect?
I know.
Civility? Why?
Most multiracial, multicultural, tolerant, diverse melting pot that has ever existed on planet Earth, and there is no other place on Earth even like it. That's why 86% of our immigrants are non-white.
Let me ask you a question, though,
white
Andrew, because
supremacist country?
I think
good
you
question.
bring up an interesting point, and we might be getting hung up on semantics. So,
Uh,
the fact that you're an immigrant,
No. What happened is John just didn't like that response.
Yeah, because when he said, like, you bring up some interesting point, which I'm now going to completely ignore and just, like,
Here's the
fucking
thing.
move on.
I think John actually did think he brought up interesting points, but he knows he can't let him say that shit and get away with it.
Yeah.
Like why would 86% of immigrants to America be non-white if the U.S. is a white supremacist country, as was brought up by the large lass? Keza, for another £5, dude. That's the EU paying the UK back for the $215 billion they owe with the 47 years of interest, inflation, and compensation. Treaty of Versailles 2.0. Oh, okay, I got you.
Okay,
Again, you don't have to super Keza.
Okay, Keza, this is why you would make a bad monarch, because Treaty of Versailles is what pissed off the fucking Germans in the first place.
True, that did not go well.
Yeah, so don't piss off the Germans, because Germans can get organized quick.
idea.
The only people that can get organized faster than the Germans is the Japanese.
To be fair, the Germans have ruined Europe 3 times in 100 years. So,
to be fair, we did piss them off.
well, the third time wasn't anybody's fault.
Also,
That was just EU bullshit. Or his
assassination of Ferdinand. That's
yeah. The first 2 times were understandable. The third time was just revenge. That was just we're just gonna shit all over everything with the EU.
yeah, but the Second World War, I would say, is mostly fucking France's fault.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
the French bastards. If you guys can, the best thing you can do, France, if you really want to apologize to the world for your shitty inactions that caused the Second World War, get rid of Macron because he is a fag.
I can't understand Macron. Like he'll do something base and then he'll just be mega cringe.
No, because the base thing is
It's like an accident.
No, it's because he needs to say something to keep the conservatives off his back for temporariness. Like it's a temporary suspension of reality. It's like, look, I'm doing something that you like for 5 seconds while I'm doing 95% of shit that's gonna piss you off.
Oh, by the way, I'm not saying that World War I is Germany's fault. It's not what I meant. I just meant that German involvement fucked around with Europe for 3 times in the last 100 years. No, World War I was not Germany's fault at all.
Yeah, and now Germans are very, very cocked. Which is sad.
I didn't mean to, if I came off that way, my bad. I didn't mean to imply that World War I was Germany's fault. Obviously, it was not.
You know how Germans, I'm going to say something horrible, you know how Germans could unite Europe? Is by purging all the immigrants.
Well, they're not going to do that now.
Yeah,
they're
but
trying to bring more in.
That's how they could, because then people would actually follow that lead. Like, oh my god, Germany's doing something insane for us.
Do you think that there's some really deep level German plotting here, where it's like we are bring all the immigrants into Germany and then we put them into camps? Is that what you think is going on?
No, it's not a bad idea though.
Then we incinerate them too, because we can't import any natural gas from Russia anymore.
No, I imagine they would quite look favorably at
Burn
Russia.
the immigrants to heat the homes. Oh my god.
Okay,
that's a German thing to do. That's a dangerously German idea.
that's not where I was going with that. That's much worse than anything I said all evening.
I think that's a dangerous.
Well, we have
German
all of
idea.
these foreigners that are really, really annoying us, and if we can get rid of them and also heat our homes at the same time.
See, I told you it's a dangerously German idea.
Well, I mean, it is really cost efficient.
Oh, fuck, dude.
And you can burn people and heat your homes, and then less people, and yeah, that's economically that is pretty efficient. I mean, Germany already has a horrible record of treating people with different beliefs in the very. But to be fair,
I didn't mean to come off as hateful towards
well,
the Germans.
I mean, what horrifies me is that other people are going to look at that and go, "It's not actually a bad idea. That's pretty good."
Well, we've got a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
Aiden, that's a British idea or US idea. They put people in camps before the Germans. Also very true. Also very true. The whole idea that Germany is the only one who did that kind of shit is also... Keza for 5 says, Spoon, the EU under the New Deal is under the boot of Britannia. As a correction for the mistakes of the Enlightenment, China/India will be dealt with.
Yeah, but the Enlightenment was because of you. You and the French bastards were responsible for the Enlightenment.
True, the Brits were responsible for the Enlightenment. Largely.
Yes. I don't really have a problem with the Enlightenment as a concept. Is when it's stretched to its libertarian extremes where it gets a bit much.
And they knew, if you read the contemporary writers of the time, there were issues being raised of like, are we sure this is a good idea? Like, are we sure that this is really the best way to go? And I think overwhelmingly the ideas of the Enlightenment, good in intention, bad in execution. In execution, right?
Yes.
That's at least how I see it.
I read one thing which said, "What's the problem with the Enlightenment?" And it said that the getting rid of the church and replacing kind of rationality as a means of ethics is really a bad idea.
Yes,
And
getting rid
agree.
of God has been removal of God from society in general has been a very, very deleterious thing, I think, for society. As much as I know that's
annoys people,
it annoys people. Unfortunately, I do.
But that's because they're wrong and gay.
I think you need God. I do think you need God.
Yeah, because if you unplug God, it gets replaced with the state.
Yes,
which
whatever
is
you perceive
really,
him,
really horrible.
Whatever you perceive him to be, Harry Thunder or Cosmic Muffin, and that is a quote from Deteriorata. It's a quote from Deteriorata from the oh shoot, was it
Cosmic Muffin sounds like a good name for a band of fat people.
National Lampoon, a very old National Lampoon, but from the 60s or 70s. Anyway, sorry,
37% was the highest approval rate from Macron. Really?
Wow.
How the fuck is he got reelected?
I don't know. We're 5 minutes into this. We're not doing great, Spoon.
Chris says, I don't like racist words. Well, you should not speak to me on Discord then.
We're an hour and a half in and 5 minutes into this clip. We're not doing great.
Well, we've said some things that are true and they're funny.
Oh, yeah.
Also, we have 81 people watching. It's like the highest count. So clearly, people watch the shit. I don't know if I'm gonna...
Well, thank you all for joining us, by the way.
Yeah.
It means you chose to come here. But America didn't start that way for black people. They didn't.
Who cares? John, do you realize,
so
right?
Long.
There's a couple of things I want to point out.
When did
John?
the slave trade end exactly? What was it last year?
Yeah, it was last year. There's no more slaves last year.
No, I'm saying when was it officially ended?
I
don't know.
Probably post the Civil War.
I would imagine, but I would like to find out exactly when the last slave came over to the United States. You know what I mean?
Oh, just to try and do the N-word thing. I don't mind seeing the N-word in text. I just think it's funny.
No, but when did the last slave come over? I think.
Oh, come over. Oh, Lord.
That's what I mean, right?
This is turning into EFAB. Well, EFAB is popular, so I don't really consider that a slight. I
don't know when the last. Obviously, with the 13th Amendment is when it's abolished. I don't know when the last slave came over, but it couldn't have been past 1865.
Do you not think it's really funny that the Andrew is saying that this is what the country has turned into, and his thing is, well, it didn't start out that way. Yes, no shit, you fucking moron.
It's been 157 years.
If you have to go back to the very beginning, it makes you sound like you have made no progress since that point, which is absurd and stupid.
That's 5 generations about, okay?
Yes.
If you say 30 years is a generation, it's 4 or 5 generations since the end of slavery. Now, obviously, didn't just end. Things went on, and there was a lot of shit that happened before black people got, full rights. That wasn't until the 1960s. But that's 80 years ago.
By the way,
right?
that was a bad thing. The Voting Rights Act was actually really bad for blacks. Like, there's a lot of things in.
Oh, someone said Maurice said 807 was the last year of importing slaves. Were you able to find that number? Thank you. I'd have to look into it more, but I'll go off. I'll trust you, Marie. But I thought for sure that the U.S. had stopped importing slaves for a while before the end of slavery.
It's France Revolution is the approval rating on this fucking page. You know what I find really funny?
Yeah, what's up?
Is that when you look at sort of systemic racism, I've noticed when it favors black people, they're kind of oddly quiet. Because, like, if you see, like, the NBA and NFL, blacks are really well represented there. And there's a lot of black people who try to get into the NBA and NFL. And how do you think athletes are selected, Aiden? Is like a test of
it couldn't be based on the
skill
quality,
set, or competence, or attitude.
No.
Who knows? So why is it that they can work and succeed there and be really overly represented in this arena, but if it's any other arena where white people dominate, then it's systemic racism?
Oh, right, precisely.
Systemic racism is like the easiest thing in the entire fucking world to debunk. Like there, you just did it, like 30 seconds.
I know, but
like how the hell this has gotten any ground with people when like an infant can debunk this for the bullshit that it is?
Because it's okay. Here's why it persists: is because people look at the West and particularly America, and they say, "Oh shit! Look at the outcomes for Black people comparatively to white people or Asian people." They always like to leave Asian people out, but whatever. Let's just say just Blacks versus whites. They go, white people make more money. They're more likely to have advanced degrees. They're more likely to have signs of wealth, cars, and things like that. And they go, why is that the case? Well, why? How could this possibly be the reality? Well, it must be due to something systemic because it occurs across the board. It's not isolated in one city or one pocket, so it is systemic in that way. But why is it happening? And they say, well, it must be racism. There can't be anything about the Black community that's responsible for it. And then if you say that, like as was brought up earlier in this video, the 5 minutes we managed to get through, well, now you're just blaming Black people. Maybe it's time to just, take some freaking responsibility for your communities.
The slight dig you just did at both of us there, by the way.
Huh?
Like the 5 minutes that we were able to get into this, like it's a slight dig at both of us. You ass.
Couple things. Another 5 pounds from Kizza. Thank you so much. Dude, seriously. If they keep super chatting, just message me in the chat. Consider this. Within a generation, Marxism and Islam will be destroyed by imposing communism and Sharia law against the advocates. I'm not sure if I understand that, though. But then also, Troll with the Purpose said its worst generations are counted in 17 to 20 years. I didn't know that, but that would make it if it's been 157 years. And let's say we take the average of, let's say, the higher estimate of 20. That's 7.85 generations. And then also the slave trade's still going on, but yeah. Oh, a spoon. Wessel Shippers asked, can you explain what was bad about the Voting Rights Act?
The Civil Rights Act, not the Voting Rights Act.
Well, could you explain what you think is wrong about the Civil Rights Act?
Yeah, there's an article that I read a while ago. There's a lot of details on it. About
if you're not prepared for it,
what LBJ was trying to push through the Civil Rights Act. Basically, the entire 60s was a massive expansion of the
government
state.
Power.
Yes, and LBJ was responsible for horrible things. Like the destruction of the Black family.
Is not even arguably the worst president in the entirety of U.S. history.
He's definitely like the top 5.
Yeah,
because
top 5. There you go.
If you there is so much that you can trace back to the 60s that just went fucking apeshit wrong, and I think he knew because he said, "I'll have these, voting Democrat for the next 200 years." Mm-hmm. And considering Black women vote like over 90% for the Democrats, like it's been extremely successful. Actually,
I think it is over 90%. I think it's like close to 95.
Yeah.
As Ethan Klein said, don't even think about it, man. And that's how it's encouraged. Don't think about it. We vote Democrat. Yeah. That's what we do.
And I remember doing a video on this where someone at CNN said that Biden needs to behave like LBJ. And they listed what LBJ...
I remember that.
Yes,
you said that to me. That shit was crazy.
Yes, and he said like LBJ would basically get into people's personal space and like get his face into them and basically threaten to physically beat them unless they get what they want. It's like, so you are openly thinking that this like 79-year-old fucking dude who you can take out with an ice cream cone, you think that guy's going to get into people's face and what, threaten them? How is Biden going to threaten anyone? You can you can break his bones with a pencil. He's not scary.
Exactly. Also, Tyro, hey Tyro, how's it going? Said Woodrow Wilson and FDR worse than LBJ. Yes, you are correct. Yeah, you're correct on that one.
The top 3 worst presidents of the last century were LBJ, FDR, and Woodrow Wilson. Hands down. You could probably say Wilson is the most evil.
Woodrow Wilson definitely the most directly evil. I think FDR maybe misguided, but
FDR's pretty bad.
Really bad. I'm not saying he's innocent in his misguidedness, but also Supreme Kizzo said that was the last super chat in regards to my reign as king, destroying Marxism and Islam by imposing their doctrine to its logical conclusion. I get you. To think of all the assets, capital, resources I'd gain from such a policy. Yeah, true.
I do know one.
Woodrow Wilson, by far, way worse.
I know one Muslim guy who thinks that that Islam was going to take over the world.
Uh-huh.
And I'm just looking at it like, you are a fucking idiot if you think that's going to happen. Because like you do it, like the World Economic Forum will take Islam and pervert the shit out of it for their own amusement. Easily.
And if you're a Muslim, get upset when you watch them do this shit. Because, by the way, anything that
I want to see
any usefulness that Muslims have right now to the WEF and to the globalists, you want to use Alex Jones' kind of terminology, they'll turn on you in an instant. The second you're no longer useful. Trust me. And they will destroy and pervert Islam. And I think a lot of Muslims know that. They will destroy and pervert Islam the way they have done to Christianity.
Yes, especially because there's a lot of pushback against the alphabet crap from Muslims.
Yeah, they don't like that
and
shit.
it is really fun to see, actually, because I'm like, ooh, look, I have no dog in this fight, but it's just like watching two people I don't like fight about shit. Like, this would be fun. Because I don't know who the hell's going to win. My money's on the rainbow twats. Because they have more money.
They do have more money, but the Muslims also like to throw them off of roofs, so...
Ooh,
They do like to do that. It's a national pastime in Afghanistan.
So if anyone can buy me some binoculars,
Dude.
I wouldn't mind seeing that.
Oh my god.
It'd be like watching
just
lemmings.
Go to Live Leak and you can see it right now.
It's not as fun. It's watching it live. It's the exciting part.
Oh god. Ew, dude. Gross. Let's continue.
What?
What? It's just awful. You're just awful.
It's funny.
Here. They were living somewhere else.
Who's worse? The one doing the throwing or me?
It's not funny to watch.
Not the gays, the alphabet people. Look, if you're gay and get thrown at them, I will protest. But if you're gay and you're part of those Rainbow Coalition, you get thrown.
Okay.
I'm not that bothered.
If you're part of the Rainbow Coalition and you go to someplace like Afghanistan, you're like, "Hello, folks, I'm here to spread liberal hegemony," and then you get I'm going to tell you all how to think because you're all a bunch of backwards sand people. Because that's how they feel. They just don't use those words. You know what I mean? That is how they feel.
Okay. Let's.
And then you got thrown off a roof. I wouldn't.
Let's see if we can find. Let's see if we can find some common ground here.
It's like the Redditors. It's like the Redditors going to Ukraine and getting BTFO'd because they took selfies and then uploaded it with the freaking gun. It's like, hey, we're here in the hello Reddit. I'm here at this base camp, and I'm gonna upload my picture that has the metadata of exactly where it is.
Wait, let's see if we can find some common ground here. Disney employees thrown off the top of the roof. Yay or nay?
I don't want anyone to be thrown off the top of a roof.
Wood chipper?
No, I don't want. Well, I mean, like if you're like an active.
Have you seen Disney employees?
If you're a convicted pedophile, yes. Okay, fine.
That's why I said Disney employees. They're openly pushing something called the gay agenda. If you are pro-gay, if you are pro or yay the gay agenda at Disney, rooftop, wood chipper, or cannon, take your pick.
Oh, the cannon for the spectacle.
Yeah, the cannon you could fire into the sun.
All right.
The irony is, I think if there was a cannon powerful enough to fire into the sun, you probably would get vaporized before you even get like halfway to there. You need dust by the time you leave the cannon. But the rest of us can see your ashes flying through the sky. That's magnificent.
All of this is, of course, yes, in Minecraft, right?
Yeah, Minecraft.
You're talking about doing this in Minecraft, right? Also, Keza for another £5 says, perhaps my most controversial policy of my reign is reminding the Jews that Israel is a British overseas territory, so I am the true chosen king. Is it? I guess is it considered technically a crown territory? How could it be? They're totally independent.
Yeah, I think so. Although they get a shitload of money.
They do get a lot of money externally, but anyway,
you should get money from Israel, not to them.
Oh, look at how sad Jon Stewart looks. Yeah. Let's try to get through.
FDR is a pretty good leader. No, he wasn't. FDR was a terrible tyrant.
Oh, dude, FDR. Again, you got to look into him, man. Like he has permanently fucked up the U.S. in ways that if you
that whole attitude of the universities comes from him and Wilson. They're the
Yep.
architects of that. Because FDR served in the state. I think he was leader of the Navy when Wilson
yeah?
was when Wilson was, so he looked up to Wilson, which explains why he did the same fucking shit that Wilson did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that bit, but I'm not shocked
But
at all.
you know
at
what?
all.
I read parts of the beginning of a book that I still want to buy, New Deal or Raw Deal, and you get the sense of what FDR was like growing up. FDR was a spoiled kid growing up. You know, most of his money he got from his freaking mother. He went to a law school. He was actually a really lazy shithead, by the way, from his own employers. And there was a social club that he couldn't get in. And he said his biggest failure in life was not getting in that. That tells you everything you need to know about that motherfucker. Is that that is his biggest failure, was not getting into a group of social elites.
What a loser, by the way.
Yeah,
Jesus.
to say that shit.
As Frag, thank you. Let's not forget Social Security, the biggest Ponzi scheme ever. Yes, which, by the way, none of us will ever get to receive. And I can tell you, oh my God, imagine the tale I can go into about Social Security system. My dad worked for the Social Security system his entire life, and did a Ron Swanson. Even though my dad worked his way fairly high up, and hated the government and hated Social Security. So kind of pulled some Ron Swansons in there in terms of just objecting to what Social Security was doing. Well, because when he started, he was like working with old people who were like trying to buy milk, you know? And then it totally changed into what it was. And what he was mostly doing was no longer working with old people trying to figure out how to buy a gallon of milk.
Chris Dreyer said, wouldn't the kings be raised like FDR? No, because FDR wasn't groomed to be president.
Yeah, that's
the difference. Yeah, the king.
I like using that word grooming, but unfortunately,
but you're groomed to be a leader.
It's apropos in this case. It's apropos in this instance. Yeah,
you were
in a
conditioned
negative way, right?
Yeah, you're trained.
But both conditioning and grooming sound really bad, but
you are trained.
I know. I'm just saying,
to become king. Like there's an expectancy of duty. I don't know. There's something very badass about that phrase. To be raised for that.
Where will some people destroy their own property out of rage or violence or whatever? Yes, but for the most part,
then
people
get married to a decent wife.
Their...
Then you will minimize that.
For most people, they do not want to destroy their property, and that's the basic kind of rationale for the monarch. They don't want to do that. It would be really stupid, and also, if you destroy your property, you'll get killed. So it's not just like, why would I? Well, it's my property. I can, if I, I can grow my stocks. I can grow my wealth. I can grow the wealth of all of people who are my subjects. That would be a good thing. It would make them happy. Or do you act like an idiot? Now, you absolutely get idiots. We've said this over and over again. You absolutely get idiots. But how do you avoid the incest of royalty, Tyro? It's been more of a thing of the past than it is anymore.
You used to marry someone you used to marry a piece of royalty from another family, from a different land.
And they've been doing that for a long time, in part to avoid the incest issue, but also to help form relationships between other nations. It's been the case throughout the majority of human history, actually. Excuse me, modern human history. Anyway,
good night, African spoon and autistic statistics woman.
Oh, good night, Tater Chip. Let's continue with
that is a good name
sad...
for you, by the way. Autistic statistics woman, yeah, because it's quite a tongue twister.
Autistic statistic, yeah. Let's get back to very, very sad looking Jon Stewart.
By the way, if you ever decide to change your channel name, you should change to that.
Autistic statistics.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually.
It is pretty good. Aiden Paladin also is rhymes.
Or if you want to do like a live stream about stats, call it that.
Next time I stopped doing videos about stats because nobody watched them.
Oh, really?
It's not interesting. I used to I had a whole video
the one
series
you did about crime was pretty fucking
yeah, I had a whole video series. I know. Thank you. I had a whole video series set out where I was just going to go through a book that I taught statistics out of. I was like, oh, we'll just go through chapter by chapter and we'll cover the main things. I'll teach everybody how to go from like how to understand how to read statistics into how to do statistics. And then those videos, like my average videos at the time when I put those out, were getting like 30 to 50,000 views on average, and those videos got like 5, and I was like, oh, no one's interested in this, and that's okay. I might do it anyway at some point. But let's get back.
No, kid, that is a horrible idea. The green policy
what?
is imposing a 100-year climate lockdown against China and India to the point where they shrink to 0.1% of their population. Do you know what's going to happen if you did that? They'll just fuck off to a different country and do it.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, you'll just deplete the country as they spread their seed all over the entire world. That's a bad idea, dude. That's really short-sighted.
Interesting way of phrasing it, but true.
Well, you know what else to explain? Okay, then go to a different country and just fuck the entire population into pieces. There we go. Better? No, not really. Oh, God, yeah. That is...
And they were kidnapped and raped and murdered and taken here. And so for you...
That is a complete lie, by the way. That is not what happened. And Aiden, you do realize if you're speaking, you're muted.
Oh, so now I
yeah, now it's in a boomer moment.
Now you don't think that African slaves were raped?
Yeah, but by other Africans probably.
No, I think they were raped by white people as well. We know this because we have.
How are we racist and doing the raping?
I'm sure the African slavers raped them as well. They were slaves. I'm just saying I absolutely believe that happened. I have no reason to reject that was a thing that happened.
Yeah, but they were brought over here because they were sold by other blacks. This idea that they were just taken and kidnapped is rubbish.
They were kidnapped by other black people.
Yes, and then sold to the Europeans.
Yeah, and I absolutely do believe that they were raped both by Africans and by Europeans. We know because
so then it's an even crime.
Yes, so they committed many crimes against slaves. They weren't seen as human. So yeah, I totally believe that happened. I don't know why that would be questionable.
We need another.
The boy that bites for two says we need another opium war. Thank you, man. I don't know about that. No, I don't. I think that absolutely did happen. I don't have any reason to doubt that happened, either from the African side or from some of the white slavers.
You to just say this is a magnificent place that doesn't have racism is actually.
But you're talking about shit from 160 years ago.
By the way, I don't know about the opium war. We have a new one now. It's called the Battle of Fentanyl.
There is still an opioid crisis. It's a huge crisis in Appalachia in particular. It's really, really bad. I could go on about it for a long time, but I won't. It's very, very bad in Appalachia. People can't get work, so all they do is they get injured on the job, and they just get on opiates, and their life's completely fucked, man.
By the way, I just realized the thumbnail that you made for this video. It looks like the fat woman is eyeing Jon Stewart's ass.
Yes, I did that on purpose.
Oh, is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah. She wants that booty. He wants that delicious Jon Stewart meat.
I have nothing to say to that.
Foundational lie than anything else.
Yeah.
What foundational lie? Everything that guy just said is just true, but okay. No one. The funny thing of it is, no one denies that slavery was part of America's history. It's just that they think that your view of it is incredibly overblown.
Blaming current issues on something that ended 160 years ago. Okay, that's what we're saying.
Yeah,
I didn't say that. Yeah. I did not say that.
You said that.
And his audience claps like the seal fucking lemmings that they are.
Of course.
The most hyperbole.
Racism doesn't exist. I said the term white supremacy is an absurd hyperbole. For most people, that means the KKK. It means no rights for minorities.
Okay,
and this has
then
been
let's
used
define the term.
Simply to avoid an argument.
So
yeah, define it.
And let's
because that's what everyone thinks.
What we mean by what.
When everyone else in the fucking world hears the term white supremacy, they think KKK, they think neo-Nazis. That's what they think of. Okay. What do you mean, large lass, when you say white supremacy, which is is anti-racism, and that's why it's white supremacy, okay?
White supremacy.
I think that she would not be in favor of black people earning more money, because it means they get to buy more food, and by her fat ass, I think she needs all of it to sustain that massive amount of weight.
Maybe. There's actually a severe obesity problem in the black community, though.
When you say white supremacy, how are you defining it for this conversation?
When I talk about white supremacy and when I talk about racism, I'm talking about power and privilege.
There it is.
Yeah,
there it is.
That's the Marxist horseshit.
That's Marxist horseshit, exactly.
Yeah.
Power and privilege that we hold as white people in society.
Do you know what's a privilege of black people? That you can insult every fucking race on planet Earth and no one says jack shit to you.
You can go knock over Chinese, grocers all you want.
Yep.
That's why they got.
You can
well,
be as
that's why-
racist
and
as
they
you
said
absolutely want, and no one will say
Oh,
dick to you.
they were very racist against the Chinese over COVID. There was a lot of black on Asian crime. Are we going to forget about that? That happened
Yeah, but
over
that's
the
because
last
of
2
Donald
years.
Trump.
Oh, that was Donald
Because it
Trump
comes
did
from
that. I don't think
China.
so. Yeah, Donald Trump made black people attack Chinese people. Okay.
Society. The way in which our structures.
Let's see.
I hate how they treat black people like they have no Asian.
Kizza just said
Oh,
that green policy would be move industries back to the West, making us richer in the process. Some of them, I think, but it'd also be very expensive. Economic nationalism is superior to neoliberalism. I agree with that part, though. Absolutely, because that's just true.
Also, the void that bites for 5 says, I mean, we need to have it in China so that when it splits up into 5 vassal countries of the West. I don't know if that's going to happen. It might.
I'm also not a fan of that. I'm going to be honest, I kind of like that America is being challenged on the world stage, because I think if you don't have competition, you get fucking weak and bloated.
You need competition. It's a necessary part of capitalism. You need competition.
You need someone to look at the fat-ass Yankee and say, you're getting a bit fat. We need to put you on a treadmill.
And the U.S. has been the dominant liberal hegemon for so long that we're not used to being
bloated, yeah.
It is bloated, and we don't produce anything anymore. We haven't produced anything for a long-ass time. Not really. We basically, the reason the U.S. exists, which we were going to get into on Wednesday, and we also didn't have time for, is that we're the world's money lender. And that's not going to be the case anymore, because Russia's made it clear they're not going to fucking play that game with us, because we said we weren't going to play the game with them.
I kind of like that, to be honest.
I
kind of like that, like, both China and Russia are America, like, we are going to fuck you hard.
We're done.
And America
we're
is
done.
like, ooh, shit. Like, this is what happens when you put all your eggs in one basket, and now China's going to bend you over and rail you.
Really, unironically, it's going to happen because, well, because Russia's now going to move into economic sphere of China, and not deal with the West.
Really smart move
for them. It is, and they moved off, and they went onto the gold standard. They moved back completely to gold to say, F you to the petrodollar, and with them off the petrodollar as being the dominant currency, then they're no longer in the U.S.'s sphere of influence. They basically
which
escaped
means America's going to lose power.
Yes, rapidly. And this is the fault of idiots in the U.S. government, who, namely Joe Biden, but who do not understand what the hell they're doing. Or maybe they do.
I don't actually think it's him. I don't think he has any idea what the hell is going on.
Biden's is not control of anything.
Yeah, we give him a lot of shit, but he's not responsible for anything. Like, he's literally just a face. But he's not. I guarantee you that man is not making any decision in the government. Like, I said this before, and then, funny enough, Stick starts saying it as well. I said it first before he fucking did, just so we're clear on that. He said it that he's a steward. I'm like, oh, good. I'm also glad Sticks is saying that. Because he is. He's just a steward. He's not really in charge of anything. Like, when he walks and he doesn't take any questions, I don't know if it's because he'll say some stupid shit, or it's because he's got no fucking idea what the hell is going on. I don't actually know.
No, I'm not sure.
Our institutions, our systems, how everything was designed with...
You mean all the affirmative action? Against black people? Yeah.
White people in mind. And only white people in mind.
Affirmative action is not designed with white people in mind. It's literally the opposite. So you're
lying,
or you're an idiot.
And even that's rubbish.
Yeah.
If you think about who is white in society, how it has morphed.
Oh, dude, I'm a Jew. I was grandfathered in like 50 years ago.
Right.
Here's what they did. Brown people started coming. They're like, we're going to need some Jews. And so they brought us in.
Absolutely.
It expands.
But it does that to hold...
I don't know what he just said.
I don't really either. Well, that's the thing. Like, though, these people have been... I think that Stewart brought that up because these two assholes said that all white people are racist. So I think Stewart had to be like, wait a minute. Also, I'm a Jew. I'm not whitey, I just get lumped in with it now. So, was he saying he got lumped in with white people, or he got lumped in as a minority? I'm not really sure.
They said that we're going to need some Jews.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Does that mean that they need you to be part of their plight, or does it mean they need your shekels to fund whatever schemey shit they're going to do?
I think maybe... all of this is about victim narrative, and of course, Jewish people have a very good... I was going to say victim narrative, but it's not a narrative. really, really bad things happen to the Jews, obviously.
Well, if we go
So
narrative in the sense of a story, then yeah, they do.
A narrative in terms of, well, in that case, the narrative in terms of like also slavery is a narrative,
Yeah.
but it's based in a real human suffering tragedies that happen to people. You know, it's a narrative, however, that is quite historically removed from most people living today in that sense.
Yes, that's true.
But historically, yes, there of course was horrible, unimaginable suffering that happened to Black people under slavery and to the Jewish people in during the Second World War, not just in Germany but across Europe. In Ukraine, for example.
Up the pillars of the systems that are in place.
But you think it's purposeful?
It's absolutely purposeful.
Andrew?
That doesn't mean anything. The systems that are in place. What does that mean?
What's your evidence?
But that's just a vague phrase. It means nothing. The systems of what?
Why is she not? And yeah, well, she doesn't bring up affirmative action at all, right? Also, 5 more pounds from Kizza. Thank you again, dude. Forgot to mention, I'll return the pounds back to gold, and that Brexit bill will pay for me holding the overwhelming majority of gold. So the pound is king. Yeah, very based. Return it to the gold standard. Absolutely.
But by the way, Arthur, if you think that America is attacking Russia because Russia is doing bad things, you don't pay attention to politics.
Arturitz is Russian.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care if he's Russian. That's still a stupid thing to say.
Just saying.
Yes, because the West was the one expanding to Russia's fucking border.
Arturitz and I had a conversation about this.
Yes, but I disagree. And I'm going to go
yeah,
with
we do disagree. We do disagree there. We do disagree there. Yeah, George Kennan, Dr. Mearsheimer. There's a lot of people who... Right. Yeah, there's a lot of people who would disagree.
Chris Hedges' one is people should watch that, by the way, because it's only like 15 minutes long, and he lays it out. And he used to be a former war correspondent, so he used to see like the shit that they were pulling at the Iraq War, and he pulls some of that together. And it's really interesting to see it from like a former war correspondent's perspective. Like, whoa, that's
I mean, I don't know,
cool.
like, if we wanted to get into the Ukraine stuff, I've got it all in front of me. But the liberal hegemony stuff and the aggression towards Russia from the West is, I think, undeniable. That we lied to Gorbachev directly, then we sort of lied to Yeltsin, then we just I should say we
lied to Putin a fair few times.
Well, it's why Putin doesn't trust the West.
I don't trust the West.
I don't trust them either. I don't trust NATO.
No,
I don't trust
the whole
NATO. Well, the whole idea is like, oh, NATO is a defensive agreement. They would never ever act aggressively. Well, we bombed Yugoslavia. Now, what were there was there an ethnic genocide happening in Yugoslavia? Yeah, but it's evidence that it was not, that NATO is not fully a defensive agreement. They do engage in aggressive actions. Again, ethnic genocide happened in Yugoslavia. Understandable as to why you'd want to move in. It's just evidence against the claim that NATO is a purely defensive agreement. That's my only point.
Would your argument be that you don't believe that that's purposeful or that it doesn't exist?
I don't believe it exists.
Okay.
I don't know what these systems are.
Okay, so
give me one system.
Look, they're just, his shitty idiot audience is just laughing. But please, give me one system. Please, let's hear the answer.
All right, redlining neighborhoods.
Capitalism?
No, redlining neighborhoods.
That was a state-enforced thing from Jim Crow, which is the one point at which I think absolutely is true.
So you just said it doesn't exist except for that.
But not anymore. It hasn't existed for years. And then they're just sitting here laughing. What a bunch of assholes. Redlining and Jim Crow have been gone for a long fucking time. We are talking about history. We're not talking about current fucking politic. We're talking about shit from 60 fucking years ago. Be real. Don't lie. Stop lying for goddamn 10 seconds, and your smug chuckling is insufferable.
No.
Yeah.
No, I said white supremacy doesn't exist.
But, so when the New Deal was passed, right? When the New Deal was
passed, New Deal,
Black people were explicitly not allowed.
Oh, Spoon, I think the video's not up on the screen. Is it working?
Yeah, it is.
I can't see it on my side.
I can see it on mine.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But our turrets also said it, I think. Also, Kiss, a friend of their £5 says, As for the Americas, it's working now. I'll put Pinochet 2.0 as the leader of Venezuela, so we can enjoy more black gold there for my massive car collection. I can't give too many opinions on Pinochet. I'll get in trouble. Thank you.
He did nothing wrong.
Also, the void that bites for 5 US says Russia's gold standard is an ineffectual cope. Please don't make judgments without consulting an expert.
Are you the expert then?
Well, I don't know.
No, I'm asking him. Because if you're going to say something like that, you have to back it up. Otherwise, you just look like a twat.
Well, yeah, I don't know which expert you want me to consult, but I would say that if it's an ineffectual cope, we'll have to see. I don't think anyone can really say from this point in time, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to understand why Russia moving to the gold standard is as a cope. I think that's actually a very wise move on their part to move back to the gold standard because it bits them off the U.S. petrodollar.
Or at least makes their currency viable in a different way that might be challenging. The reason I brought up Chris Hedges, because at least to me, if you look at sort of Professor Mearsheimer, Chris Hedges, Mulbach for heaven's sakes as well, Noam Chomsky and Henry Kissinger, these are all people that would have no political middle ground in any fucking way in a million years. But for some reason, all of these people agree that NATO is a bad idea. So it makes me go, why can you get all of these people that would never agree with each other all suddenly agree that NATO is a bad idea, regardless of political affiliation? That to me makes me think that if you can get so many people who would never disagree but agree on one thing, you should ask yourself, why do they all agree on that one thing? Because that to me is interesting. That is what made me go, this is interesting.
Void That Bites says that he's a business major who lived in Russia for 15 years. I mean, I'm sure I respect your input, man, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about that assessment. We'll have to see. I think it's too early to say if it's just a cope or how that will actually affect Russia. But I think they're probably gonna be more well served by
a business
moving
major.
off of-
That doesn't sound shit to me. I'm sorry,
lived in Russia for
but that doesn't mean to me that you're not part of the political apparatus. You have no idea what the hell they can do or what the hell their long-term ideas.
Well,
That's why
we'll see, man. Because I'm suspect of that as well.
Like, how many people say that Trump is an idiot? I'm a businessman. What did Trump do? Trump kicked the shit out of them. So when someone says something like that, I don't take that as a gospel that you should be listened to like you're some sort of king of prophecy. So
Anywho, let's continue.
Not to dismiss. I'm just skeptical.
Yeah, I'm skeptical as well about that.
Yes.
Those loans.
We'll
When
have to see.
The Homestead Act allowed white people to get an enormous
By the way, and FDR was a Democrat.
Yes, of course.
wealth of land and be able to farm it. Black people did not have access to that.
Social Security.
Slaves were freed, when Social Security came.
Homestead Act.
Who freed the slaves, by the way? What race was that? The whites.
Oh, it was Abraham Lincoln. Homestead Act 1862. Why are you talking about an act from 150 years ago?
Because they don't have anything recent that would actually make their point. That's why.
Fuck? Why are you talking about shit from 150 goddamn years ago, Jon Stewart? Why? It has nothing to do with I do not get this. Is there any other country on fucking earth that constantly is like, we have to look at all these things that happened 150 years ago because they are all very important for a modern politic? I don't think so. I can't find one. I can't think of another one.
I want to ask these people questions who bring up all of this stuff. What is the amount of time that needs to elapse before you think the effects of these programs decay? Like, what is your moniker that you can measure, that you can say, okay, this is the amount of time, or this is the disparity that we have now that we'd like to close, and how? Because just saying these things is very fucking vague. Saying, like, these people have this much percentage, these people have this much percentage. Okay, stop mentioning the statistics. How do you solve them? And do you have any kind of factual reasons as to why this would work? And they have nothing.
They have nothing. They don't have any kind of
Do you know why
prescriptions.
why they want to have a conversation all the time? Because they don't want to do anything fucking more. They just want to talk.
Yes, and that's even what she said directly.
Yes.
They have no kind of palliative sort of suggestions for how this should be ameliorated. The only point here is just a bitch. And she said that specifically. We just need to talk. We need to talk. We need to talk. I don't give a shit about your talking. And you're bringing up shit from 150 goddamn years ago. What ridiculousness. Also, David Donovan, how do I respond to the fact that Mearsheimer's post-Cold War predictions were hilariously off? Him being off on predictions are... That's why I don't make predictions, because I don't freaking know. And I would imagine that's because predictions, it's almost impossible. However, he has a very deep understanding of what's going on.
Okay, and also my question is him, what do you say to the fact that George Kennan's post-Cold War predictions were absolutely right on the fucking money?
Well, yes, exactly.
I wonder why that is.
Okay. Yeah, George Kennan was right. Mearsheimer made some mistakes, but in terms of his predictions, but that's why I don't think anyone should make predictions about shit. Yeah. Because predictions,
and
there's
George
too many...
George Kennan's policies shaped the fucking Cold War policies.
Mm-hmm.
He's largely responsible for the entire history of America's reaction to the Soviet Union. So when that guy fucking talks, you listen. And
if we look at what Kennan said about it, right, which is, I think it's the beginning of a new Cold War. This is in response to NATO expansion in May of 1998. In speaking to New York Times journalist Thomas Friedman, George Kennan said, I think it is the beginning, this is specifically in response to NATO expansion. I think it's the beginning of a new Cold War. I think the Russians will gradually react quite adversely, and it will affect their policies. I think it is a tragic mistake. There was no reason for this whatsoever. No one was threatening anybody else. This expansion would make the founding fathers of this country turn over in their graves. We have signed up to protect a whole series of countries, even though we have neither the resources nor the intention to do so in any serious way. NATO expansion was simply a lighthearted action by a Senate that has no real interest in foreign affairs. What bothers me is how superficial and ill-informed the whole Senate debate was. I was particularly bothered by the references to Russia as a country dying to attack Western Europe. Don't people understand? Our differences in the Cold War were with the Soviet communist regime, and now we are turning our backs on the very people who mounted the greatest bloodless revolution in history to remove that Soviet regime. And Russia's democracy is as far advanced, if not further, than any of these countries that we've just signed up to defend from Russia. Of course, there is going to be a bad reaction from Russia, and then NATO expanders will say that we've always told you that's how the Russians are, but that is just wrong. That's George Kennan, 1998.
And how much of what he said is true? Oh yeah, all of it.
Well, that's what happened. He told the U.S. government was aware of this in 1998. It wasn't just from him. They were told by multiple people, but they were told by Gorbachev, they were told by Yeltsin, they were told by people within the U.S. government who were political analysts saying, don't do this shit. And they did it anyway.
NATO does not, Arthur's wrong, NATO does not reduce conflict. NATO inspires conflict.
I think that's not correct,
Yes, I disagree.
Again, as I just explained earlier, they have engaged in active aggression against Yugoslavia. And I think that NATO expansion is the reason why Russia's in Ukraine right now. And I just think that basically, I think it's because the Ruskies told them for 30 years, don't do this shit. They kept doing it.
Yeah.
And not just the Ruskies, people who were political analysts like George Kennan and Dr. Mearsheimer said, no, don't do that. And they did it anyway. Also, Supreme Emperor Kriza for £5 more says, as for the likes of the CIA, I'll be using them as test subjects for the new weaponry for the Space Marines, as current weaponry isn't good enough. Well, get the Flammenwerfer, or with the Flamer, right? Get the Flamer, not the Flammenwerfer, just the Flamer if it's the UK Space Marine types. Get the heavy flamer. Anyway, thank you guys. But that's the quote there. We'll continue.
Black people, when the GI Bill, black people not. So when you say to me, I don't get how this exists, I'm just having trouble figuring out, like, I mean, you're a bright guy. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm having a hard time while you're going back to an act from 1860 to make your point.
Exactly. Honestly, like, I don't know. So, Chip, you jump in. And I don't mean to attack you. Well, I'm just confused.
Yeah,
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Fuck you kidding.
First off, the false analogy is this, equating 250 years of slavery and then 100 years of Jim Crow with the immigrant experiences of white Europeans from 1870 to 1924. I grew up in it.
He didn't even do that, by the way.
He didn't. He just said
Yeah.
he was an immigrant.
He just said he was an
And
immigrant.
he said he was an immigrant and that he thought
He
America was
didn't-
amazing.
Yeah, he didn't actually say his experiences are
He in no way
comparative
conflated. Yes.
to blacks in the country. So this is just you strawmanning his argument.
You're strawmanning it. He in no way conflated his
Not at
experience
all.
with the experience of blacks. He just said, I am an immigrant. I came to America and I saw how amazingly free and open this country is and how not racist it is. And now you're making shit up, dingus.
Italian Jewish neighborhood in Philadelphia, working class. But you know how these folks made it? They got jobs in the government, civil jobs, cops, union jobs. These were all off limits. If you were brown or black, forget it.
Oh yeah, and which president was responsible for the resegregation of the federal government? Oh yeah, Wilson, a progressive Democrat.
Yeah. Also, I just want to real quick. The way that bites. Two people with direct experience with Russia are telling you that's not the reason Russia attacked. It's a contributing factor, but not a marginal one. I agree with you 100%, by the way. I would never say it's the only reason. I'm saying that it's...
What incentive is there to expand NATO in the first place? For the American neoliberal machine to expand into Europe, weaken its military and say, we'll protect you, and then therefore expand their influence. So they bow to the Americans. If you can't protect yourself and get someone else to protect you, you cuck to them.
It's a curious thing that the US, the UK, and Russia would all sign the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and have all of these post-Soviet states give up their nuclear weapons, and then the US tries to bring them into NATO. If they had kept their nuclear weapons, Russia would not be a threat. Russia would not invade a country with nuclear weapons. I don't think.
And also, this is the other reason why. It's because
not with the ability to strike Moscow, right?
The American military-industrial complex looks at those countries that have no protection and goes, cha-ching. Because they get money. They get to expand it. They get to expand NATO at the expense of the U.S. taxpayer.
Right.
It grows. That is not based, Artemis. That's shit. That is imperialism by the back door. Fuck NATO.
We're not... Yeah, okay. This is always a problem when we talk about this subject. And guys, my video, it's coming out
Do you know why
soon.
This annoys me so fucking much? It's because these same fucking people, and I'm insulting everyone in the chat who holds this position.
Don't insult the chat.
No, fuck you.
Chat, I love you all. Spoon is the bad guy.
Yeah, but I don't care. I wear the bad guy call fucking well. It's because you people bitch about the sovereignty of other fucking nations, but you don't give a shit that America can then strangle these people by defending them. You do realize if you want the sovereignty of a nation, you have to have the sovereignty to protect your own fucking land as well, then. Otherwise, you will get strangled by the American liberal hegemony.
That's why my issue is that I have an issue with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. I wish that Ukraine and Poland and all these other countries still had nuclear weapons. Because if they had these nuclear weapons, none of this would be happening. Yeah, we're monarchists and against imperialism. That's very true. At least I'm against imperialism. I'm against imperialism for the spreading of liberal hegemony in particular. How does that work? We just explained it to you, my dude. Anyway.
You do realize to conquer another territory costs a lot of money and they might lose.
I'm against American imperialism. I'm sorry. I'm against I'm against Russian imperialism. We're
not a fan of empire. We don't want to recreate the Roman. Actually, I might take.
You gotta just look at this, and I know that people who have lived in Russia have a opinion, and I respect it.
How does that work? You don't go to fucking war. That's not very difficult to understand.
Kids for another 5, dude. What are you doing? Aiden the Suspion. I forgot to mention the Eastern Bloc will have. He's explaining his system, right? The Eastern Bloc will have an Inquisition army of which Janos Korwin-Mikke is the leader of. I love Janos Korwin-Mikke.
I'm in favor of that, by the way. That's great.
I love Janos.
The only problem he's a bit old. Him.
He's a bit old, but he'll put on his bow tie.
We need to get a successor. We need to clone him.
It was so tiny. Just imagine just him, but tiny. He's got his little bow tie on.
The principal idea is to destroy socialism.
It's not an opinion if you're right, Void the Bites. I mean, here's all I ask. Right? My video, I'm 50 minutes into the editing process. In terms of I have 51 minutes edited. It's been a really long thing because it's a huge amount of research. It's a lot of work to try and put this video together. That's why I haven't made a video in a month because I've been working on this. When it comes out, it'll be almost it probably an hour and 40 minutes long, I'm guessing.
He has 8 kids. God
Please.
damn.
All I ask, please, is that when the video comes out, is please try to listen and look at it with an open mind and not think that I have some kind of agenda that I don't. My only agenda is trying to understand a situation by looking just at facts and data and quotes and things that happened. So, and
what she is saying is this is going to trigger normies.
yes, it's going to really upset people. but nothing that I say in the video is not cited. Every single thing is factually cited. It's not out yet, Chris Dreyer. It will Dyer, sorry. Oh, just Dreyer. It will be out probably within the next week or so, depending on how quickly I can finish the editing. Maybe 2 weeks. I don't like it taking me this long, but it's been maybe one of the biggest projects I've ever done on understanding this, because it's not my field, right? Not my lane. So I had to learn a whole bunch of shit that's not normally in the lane of things that I do. And I know it hurts, and thank you and Void for listening. I'm hoping that when I
prove you both wrong.
when you watch my video, just come at it with an open mindset, and I do appreciate your input. I really do. Just understand I'm not a Russia simp or anything like that. I know it comes off that way just because I'm more siding with
I'll
Russia
be honest,
on this.
I don't mind
sort
being
of.
called. I don't mind being called a Putin simp because it's like being called racist. Like it doesn't mean anything.
Just
Like, oh my
because
god,
I'm
I'm a Putin simp because I don't like the
West.
West's imperialism. Like,
I'll put it this way:
okay.
just because I'm understanding of the Russian perspective,
Are we trying
does
to?
not mean
Yes.
does not mean that I approve of them invading Ukraine, by the way, or that I approve of them invading Crimea.
It's a very.
I don't approve of it.
It's a very
but I'm trying to
tribalistic
be like,
slight.
oh, here's why that happened.
But it's a very
That's all.
tribalistic slight. It's like, oh look, if you don't, it's like the way the people behave now towards Ukraine, Russia is like the fucking George Bush angle. You're either with us or
Yeah.
against us. Like, how about I just say like I'm not in favor of both sides. I'm just trying to understand why the other side is doing the thing that it's doing. It's like I'm trying to understand the enemy, and you guys
Yeah.
have no fucking intentions. Like, oh, enemy bad, and just that's it. It's like that's your brains. And if you
Also-
hold this position, you're a fucking retard.
Also, I just get a little bit suspect whenever I see like the left take up an idea and everyone just goes along with it. I really am,
Yeah,
I'll say
true.
I am triggered. I'm a little triggered when I see the Ukraine flags everywhere. And it's like, and I know that the people don't
You're
understand any of
simping
it.
for an oligarch by a different
They don't
country.
know anything about this conflict. I was talking about this last night on the stream with British Knight.
Yeah.
I was walking down the street here in Guernsey, right? Okay,
Give me a second, I
it's a
need
small
water.
island, 80,000 people. We have no connection with Ukraine. Although now they want to come here. We don't have, like, there's no land here. It's a little island. No, there's no land here for you to come. We don't have any space for you, okay? They want to come here, and I'm down in the middle, in the city center, in the capital. I mean, there's only one town because it's that small, obviously. So we're in the city center. There's a Ukraine flag flying above the Guernsey flag and the UK flag. The Ukraine flag is flying at the top of the banner. What? And then we were walking down the street, and I was like, oh, let's go get a crepe because there's a crepe place. I was like, I could go for a crepe Suzette. I wasn't really hungry, but I was kind of like, I haven't had a crepe Suzette in a minute, right? I really like a crepe Suzette. And we walk up to the crepe place, and they've got a painting, not a picture, a painting of Zelensky in the front. And I was kind of like, you know what? I'm not hungry anymore because I hate this shit. What the fuck are you doing? You're a tiny island in the English Channel, and you put a painting of Zelensky in your window? Ooh, I don't like it. I just don't like it. It's virtue signaling, and I can't stand virtue signaling. I can't stand it, man. Absolutely. Nobody here is Ukrainian. I mean, there might be like 1 or 2 people on the island who are Ukrainian, but like, it's completely pointless and gross. I will say Spoon Aiden will be dropping the mother of all nukes at exactly these coordinates. Then there's some coordinates. Don't Google this. Well, I have to Google it now because unfortunately, what are these coordinates? Hey, that's not very nice. Also, nowhere near me, by the way. The coordinates you
Where's the
posted.
work coordinates?
Oh, it's Guernsey, but it's nowhere near me. Don't drop a nuke there. Like, no, anyway, thank you. But, anyhow, don't drop a nuke there. I don't want to. Also, the thing that I don't, people were like, "Oh, why would you tell people where you live?" Well, it's a big island.
Apparently,
it's a
because
small
people
island,
might nuke you, by the sounds of it.
well, he might nuke me, but also, like, if people wanted to send shit to my house, if they could find me, if they did, enjoy that import tax or export tax. It's really expensive to send shit here. Really expensive. It's not like in the US where you can just go send some shit to somebody's house who sends some white powder to their house. It's really expensive. Anywho, let's get back. Don't send the nuke here, though, Kezza. Also, yeah, your coordinates are... Where were your coordinates at? Let me look at them again. Yeah, that's like... It's not near me. It's no... I think I might get missed. Was it not? Why did it show up that way? It showed up that way on my Google.
Where was he aiming
What?
it in?
What's this type of maps?
YouTube will not eat this channel, by the way.
Make sure your search is spelled correctly. It's not working. I don't know. I can't find it then because I don't know where you posted. Oh fuck. Anyway, let's go back to it. Sorry, we're getting distracted as usual.
Here's the
We're only 8 minutes in. Fuck.
that
Let's try to just finish this
whites
fucking
came to
video.
believe that everything good, the jobs, the land, the suburbs, it was theirs. And when blacks try to
Theirs.
encroach, that's when you have the pushback. That's when you have
What?
riots.
Is it because
What are you
black
talking
people
about?
had a certain set of behaviors
didn't
that were maybe
happen.
not a fan? And also, by the way, the one thing I hate is that he thinks all black people are the same.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read Black Rednecks and White Liberals, you know this is not true at all.
First of all, it's prima facie a ridiculous thing to say. They act like all black people are the same. Of course they're not. You dingus. You racist. God.
But it's
damn,
also
dude.
because if you read Black Rednecks and White Liberals, he mentions the blacks that were colonized by the West Indies, that for some bizarre reason they took to the British business very, very well. So when they were brought over, they had a spirit of entrepreneurship that the local blacks didn't have. And they had an enclave by themselves. And he also mentions that...
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
he also
right.
mentions that the black slaves that were female, they were, they would sleep with the master of the house, which usually would be like a plantation owner. And so they would have a lighter skin, the mulattoes, mulattoes,
That's
sorry.
how you got mixed race people.
Yes, and because they were lighter skin, they were the offspring of money. So they would get a better education. So there was a clique of lighter skinned blacks that had money because they all come from this background, and they were a class of their own.
I mean, obviously this
They
is
were
all
in the north.
terrible. Like it is. Like that this happened because it was rape. Okay, like those women didn't really have a choice. Okay, they didn't. The slave master was going to take you and do what he wanted. That's rape, obviously.
But your kid will have a better
Disgusting.
future.
But you do have a child who has a better future, and again, but we are talking about things that are 200 to 150 years old. We're not talking about modern history
the
at all.
Hodgkins talk about this in their family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're rather light skinned. They have blue eyes.
Yes.
You know?
They're like 48% white.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did like a DNA test.
23andMe or
they,
whatever, yeah.
they were joking like, we're like 2% off being one of you, he said to the white people. And they thought that was pretty funny.
It's pretty funny. I love the Hodgkins.
Yeah, because if they were in South Africa, they would be called colored.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I know Americans, if you say to a South African colored, that means something else entirely. Because in America, that's a very disparaging term. In South Africa, there's people called coloreds. They're called the Cape Coloreds.
Yeah. Okay.
Like,
I wasn't familiar with that.
Like
Even
Trevor,
though
Trevor
she doesn't
Noah.
talk about that in her book.
Yeah, Trevor Noah is colored.
Okay. Because she's in the End of the Cannibal's Plot. She doesn't talk about that use of the word, but also the boy that bites for $10 says, "I'm not arguing. I know you're not, man. I'm just trying to provide additional facts that are significant in context. I know. That's why I originally offered to give insights. Also, the current thing is cringe by default. Yeah, precisely,
100%
man.
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That much is true.
Thank you for the super chat. And yeah,
Did you see Razorfist video on that? It was so fucking good.
yeah. The current thing
Like,
stuff
I
is very
support
frustrating.
the current thing.
It's been a
I
big
don't
meme on
support the
4chan
current
for a
thing.
while. No, I don't support the current thing. It is cringe.
It's about busing. That's when you have terrorism. So I don't know, I get
Did
Andrew,
he just
I know
say
Andrew's history,
that's when
but
you
like,
have terrorism?
I don't even
Wait,
remotely.
let's go back. Let's go back.
How did you go
missed
from busing to terrorism?
Let's see. Let's re-listen to it.
But you know how these folks made it? They got jobs in the government, civil jobs, cops, union jobs. These were all off limits. If you were brown or black, forget it. Here's the real deal about everything, is
Which were done by progressive Democrats.
that
Yeah.
whites came to believe that everything good, the jobs, the land, the suburbs, it was theirs.
No, they didn't.
And when blacks try to encroach, that's when you have the pushback. That's when you have riots about busing. That's when you have terrorism.
In the
So,
60s, in the 50s. Now we're talking, again, 70-year-old history. Why are you bringing this up? This is not modern history. Are there some people alive who experienced it? Yeah. But
Yeah,
a
they're
lot of
like
people
in
are
their,
alive who experienced it.
probably in their 80s now.
Well, my mom saw a lot of it happen in Baltimore. It was very bad there when she grew up. But what happened? I mean, I don't, like, okay. I only know, this is now anecdotal, right? But during the race riots in Baltimore, her family ran a carpentry business. They built houses, is what they did. They from the ground up, and my granddad had all of his sons essentially. They all learned a different skill. So I have my uncles. One's an electrician, one's a plumber, one's an engineer. Like they all learned how to help in the business, and it to help out granddad. And they built houses, and his business at his shop that he had, or his carpentry shop that he had in downtown, during the race riots, they came through and they threw Molotovs through his window. Because he's white. And he was white and living in a predominantly, and his business was in a predominantly black neighborhood. So is that okay? Because that's what I mean, I'm not saying that's what she's saying necessarily, but that's how how that actually worked out. Was that restorative justice to go, by the way, my granddad, first or second generation immigrant from Germany. Okay, so is that all right? His father came over from Germany, so that was that okay? Because he was the child of immigrants.
Oh, this is making me laugh. A friend of mine is also playing Tetris, and her my high score is 400 and I think 98,000.
Yes, it's very autistic.
Yes, and hers is 482,000. She was like, I'm fuming. She's probably listening to the stream, actually.
Oh yeah.
If she is, by the way,
do you mind taking over for a minute, Spoon?
Yeah, sure, go on.
All right, go ahead.
Let us have a look here to see.
I don't know, I get Andrew, I know Andrew's history, but like, I don't even remotely understand what he's saying about American history, because it is not in any way people that have studied it.
Because he said this isn't what is happening now. He's saying that since those things have happened, you have progress, you dipshit. Fucking hell, you're a professor and you don't understand his logic. Why are you a professor? You should not be anywhere near any teaching institution or academia. Fuck off, dumbass.
This is nothing like what he's talking about.
Yes, it is.
No one is denying this awful history, nor is anyone denying.
Great. So let's
that
talk
African Americans
productively
face
about
enormous
what we do
challenge.
about it. I think the conversation is then this.
You did do something for several years, actually. I am listening. Oh yeah, sorry about that. The person just messaged me and went like, she is listening to the stream. Try and get 500,000, then you'll have beaten my score, and then I'd have to one up you, and it probably would take me a while.
We have an awful history.
Aiden has German. Does Aiden have German blood? I don't know if she's got Welsh blood. I don't know about German. Polish maybe. Who knows?
It's
Ask her when she gets back.
remnants are still
We
felt
also have
today.
a great history, John.
Say it again.
We also have a great history.
But I think you're minimizing it.
He's not minimizing it. He just said you have great history. What is he minimizing? He didn't say that those things don't happen.
You're suggesting that because
I think by calling
Yeah.
today white supremacy, you are minimizing actual white supremacy. You have an incredible diversity. To condemn all American
it's
history
not.
as
I
racist,
disagree
when in
that
fact
they're
it's been
generalizing all
liberatory.
white people.
But you're generalizing
Whoa,
everyone
but
else,
you
John.
just generalized. But he generalized all white people. They generalized all
yeah.
white people. What are
Yeah,
you?
no.
I don't like that you're generalizing. That's what you did. You started the discussion this way. You ding dong. What the hell are you talking about?
Aiden, do you have German blood?
Yeah, Kubus, yes. My grandfather, my maternal grandfather, his father, so my great grandfather, was a Lutheran minister who came over from Germany. And then his wife, I might be getting these mixed up, his wife was mostly Anglo, and that's my maternal side. My paternal side is mostly they both. My grandmother came over from Wales, so.
Welsh, right.
But then her husband was a mix. So my grandfather, on my paternal side, was a mix of Anglo, Irish, Scots-Irish. You know, the big Celtoid Anglo mix. But yeah, so half my family is German, or quarter of them are German, quarter Welsh, and then broadly Anglo. That's pretty much my background, yeah, and Scots-Irish.
The systems that were racist that were put in place. That
systems.
Yes. The systems
yeah, name one.
Put in place.
Still,
I'd
no
like
system
you to
has been.
explain exactly what they are.
Well,
They can't. They brought up shit from 1860. Explain now where the system is. You can't do it, can you?
I said
I thought I
FDR.
explained
That
it
was in the
earlier about
40s.
the GI Bill
Yeah.
and about the new.
Yeah, that was what, in the 1940s.
They're talking about shit that's over 70 years old, at the minimum, if not 150 years old.
Very simple. That's one thing. I want to know about these systems.
I just explained it.
The
No, you
GI
didn't.
Bill doesn't exist anymore, as far as I know, John.
Yeah.
So
Does it? Let's check it out.
I have no idea.
GI Bill. I don't think it does.
Well, if it does, I don't think it's exclusive
Of
to whites.
1944,
Yeah. So
expired in 1956.
okay, so it has died over
80 years ago.
yes. Well, 56. So it would be
So why are you talking
70
about
years,
this shit?
70, 66 years. Yeah.
1956 minus 1956 minus 2022. 66 years ago.
Yeah, of course.
Are there people
I
alive
have
who lived
Asian
through it?
genes in me. If I'm doing numbers, it's accurate. Don't worry about it.
But people who are alive who would have lived through this are 80 years old.
Yes.
In any meaningful way, who lived through it are 80 years old. None of this is relevant. What the fuck are you talking about?
Housing.
That's
food.
one, and I've agreed that.
Andrew, you're not living on the same fucking planet we are. Honestly.
That's 100% true.
See, this is why
That's
I
completely
said,
true.
how long time span after these things were implemented do you think that they fade?
Never.
Because
According to these guys, these idiots. We'll also look at her licking her lips. She's looking at Jon Stewart. She sees another donut right behind him. Look
and
at
also,
that.
that's why I said that these conversations are fucking pointless, because they're not actually saying how these programs have had any effect. They're just saying
No, they're
that
just saying
happened.
they existed. They happened.
Yes.
They happened 70 years ago. They happened 60 years ago. So
Yes.
we have to be concerned about them. Are there people alive who lived through it? Yes.
But it
But
doesn't
they're
tell me how
80
they
years
affected.
old. Yes, and how are 80-year-olds affected by this? Nobody in the current, none of these people lived through it. How old's Jon Stewart?
Yeah, and I also made this point in the video that I made yesterday, where I
He's
actually had to go with this.
59.
Yeah, but what I find funny is that the two people that they mentioned so far, or the two people that they've mentioned in context to their policies, was Woodrow Wilson, who was a Democrat, the destruction of the black family in the previous video he did to this, which is done by LBJ, and he mentions FDR, who are all fucking Democrats.
Yes,
Government is
but-
never the fucking problem, but for some reason more of it is always the solution, and it's more Democrats that cause these
Precisely.
fucking your worldview
Precisely.
is so stupid.
How absolutely curious, isn't it? These are all
Like,
Democrats who
I
implemented
hate these
things.
people because they're fucking idiots.
They're liars. No, they know what's up. They're just lying. As Insignium VGC just said, for $2, systemic racism is a conspiracy theory. Clearly, they can't actually define it.
I disagree
can
because
they-
conspiracy theories these days are true.
They can't really define it. All they can point to is shit from between 70 to 150 years ago.
Yes.
Shut up. The bill, the GI Bill that Jon Stewart is pointing to as evidence of this was ended before he was born. Okay?
Do you remember?
What the-
Do you remember the last thing that Eddie Murphy said in his delirious stand-up special?
The greatest stand-up special of all time.
One of them.
It's surely up there. Surely up there.
Yes.
Delirious is
Yes.
mwah, chef's
But he
kiss.
says, I want to say something. Like 30 years ago, this place was like segregated. There's a black woman who wanted to sing opera, Mary Anderson. And he says, look at it now. Not even 20 years later, 22-year-old black man getting paid to hold his dick. God bless America.
God damn it.
This was
Man.
in the 80s.
Yeah.
This
I
was
remember
50 fucking years ago. He said,
It's crazy. That's how long ago it was. But yeah.
40 years
40 years ago.
Yes, 4 decades ago. That Eddie, a 22-year-old Eddie Murphy, stood on stage and said, "A 22-year-old black man getting paid to hold his dick. God bless America." 40 fucking years ago, he said this.
Yep. And yet, here we are, discussing things that happened
I would love to, if I was there, I would have just liked to have that bit on my phone and just like play this bit to him. It's like,
but
explain
again,
this.
They're saying shit from 70 to 150 years ago is more important than everything that has happened since. Everything else that's happened since. Every piece of progress, if you want to call it, and I would say it is progress in terms of race relations in the United States that happened up until like the 2000s, maybe 2010s. They started to go to shit again. All of that was bad. Because, of course, in reality, these people, I don't know how much Jon Stewart does, the people on his panel with him, besides Andrew, they want racial animosity. She said it straight up, that being not racist is white supremacy. We had that at the start. That's where we're at.
I'm a shitty racist then.
You are not living, I think you are not living in the planet most Americans are, which
Yeah,
is
you're
why
not.
this kind of extreme.
It is extremism.
I was like, would you marry a bush bitch from the parts of Africa? Oh, God. A bitch with a big fucked up afro, like Angela Davis, like, God damn, it's some fucked up shit.
By
With a bone in her lip.
real quick, based Andrew here, what they just said is like, Andrew, you're not living in the same world as us. Clearly, we're not. You guys are living in a fantasy version of history and reality.
Yes.
And Andrew is trying to tell you the truth, and you can't hear it because you're living in fantasy world. It is true. Yes, we're not living in the same reality. That's the problem with the split between the left and the right in the United States. And again, I brought this up the other day. If you looked at the data that were collected not too long ago about what conservatives think liberals care about, and what I don't know. Let's not use the word liberal. Sorry. What conservatives think leftists care about, and what leftists think conservatives care about. Leftists are so far off. They think conservatives they really truly think that what conservatives care about is like putting black people back into slavery and killing gays and putting trans people into electrocution machines. They unironically think these things. They think that that's what we believe, that we want to kill and murder all of them. And it's like, that's kind of weird, because then when you ask them what they think, they say openly, yeah, we need to remove conservatives. They want to throw us out of helicopters and are pretty open about it, but think we want to kill all of them.
Yeah, but it's not so surprised. They don't fucking listen to the right, so they don't know anything.
No, they don't. They don't listen. Whereas
because they're stupid.
The conservatives don't really have a choice, because the vast majority of mainstream news is left-leaning. They don't have any idea what we think, because it's Fox News is pretty much all that we have.
I wouldn't even say so much that. It's just that they control the apparatus of every fucking stupid thing, and because they're in charge, so to speak. You because if you're the one in charge, you get critiqued.
Yeah.
So this is why I said there's no point in listening to the left, because the right is going to critique the fucking left.
I remember your video on that.
Yes.
That there's no point in listening to them, and I think that's probably correct.
Yes, because the right is going to tell you what the left are doing, because they're not the ones in charge, so they'll actually have a go at the right or at the left. Yeah. Sorry, but what the left will never say anything about the right because they don't fucking know anything. They're like,
yeah, Tyra, you're correct. They'll equate things like people saying "kill pedos" with "kill the gays," which is very telling and interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that's kind of a red flag. They will equate
pedos with gays. I would never do that, because I don't think necessarily there may be some overlap there, but I don't think that those are identical things in any way whatsoever. No, they're not, dude. They're not. Is there a correlation between people who have been molested who end up becoming homosexual or end up coming out as homosexual as adults? Yeah, there is, and that's terrifying.
Not saying all gay is pedophile, but all pedophiles are gay.
But people who are gay are not all pedophiles, and they have not all been molested, etc., etc., etc.
That's what I'm saying. Not all gays are pedophile, but all pedophiles are gay.
Yeah. All right. Just interesting how terrible they treat Andrew here.
I mean, have you listened to those people on Disney fucking talks? Like, I literally showed you the picture of the guy.
We listened to them on Wednesday, remember?
Yes, and then it's still like, I showed Aiden the picture of the guy and said, like, this guy works for Disney. And she was like, oh, and I said to him, do you instantly have a voice in your head? And the second she put it, like, yeah, he sounds exactly how I pictured. Like, yes, it's a fucking uniform.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
And around 25 to 30% of gay people were molested. I've seen
and
similar
the other
reporting.
65% are lying.
No, I don't think so. No, look, some people are. Look, we've seen it. We can see it in the fMRI data. People are born gay. People are born trans. Okay, like in that they
I don't think
do
they're
not.
born trans. I think that's rubbish.
I do think they are.
Really?
The fMRI data. The fMRI data
Okay, I
are
need
pretty
to beat that
consistent.
idea out of
That
you then.
people that at least from what I've seen, right? What I've seen in the data from well, most of the data comes from male to female trans people. I have not seen data on female to males, but I can say for male to female trans people, their fMRI brain scans activate similar areas of the brain as they activate in females, conversely to males. So I would say that there seems to be, as far as I can tell within the data, definitive evidence that trans people, legitimate trans people, have brain structures that are, at least for male to female, that are more similar to females than to males. Anyway, that's a total aside. Let's get back to the video. Sorry about that.
Extremism, this anti-white extremism,
Yes.
is losing
Just
popular
laughing.
support, is creating a backlash, is going to elect Republicans and undo a lot of the good you think you're doing.
This is what happens when you don't talk about it. This is what happens when white people don't talk about it, is you have racist dog whistle tropes like this.
Oh my God.
So let me get this straight. You want people to talk about it, but when they talk about it, this is what happens. Like, this doesn't make any fucking
insane
sense.
Statement. Talk about it, but don't talk about it unless you agree with everything I say, because then it's a racist dog whistle trope. Go fuck yourself, you fat, nasty cunt. Sorry.
Damn, that was pretty base. No?
I really hate what you just said. I truly do.
Of course, she's an idiot.
Actually perpetuate and perpetuate and perpetuate.
Why are you cheering for what?
Because she called him a white supremacist. Because she called him a racist Nazi dog whistler. That's why.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed this, but people who are racist, they don't hide it.
I know. That's
they openly
that's the thing.
say that they're racist and they're proud of it.
That's what the left. Well, that's why they do this. By the way, that's why they do this. By the way, is that legitimately racist people will tell you that they're racist. Okay,
yes, they don't.
They'll tell you straight because they don't give a fuck. They're very, very open about it.
Yeah, so like a racist dog whistle, like shut
So
the
instead,
fuck
they
up.
have to find these quote dog whistles of anything that I can just try to turn some random thing you said and say that's a racist dog whistle, and that's only designed to destroy you. It's all Soviet tactics, by the way. These are all Soviet tactics of destroying people who do not agree with the party line. And if it, you look at Yuri Bezmenov and listen to what he had to say about this, and it is one-to-one Soviet tactics of destruction of oppositional beliefs. That's against the party. That's a racist dog whistle. It's the same shit. Same shit.
I did not come on this show to sit here and argue with another white man. That's one of the reasons that we don't even engage with
another white man. What do you mean by that? Or whatever. Sorry.
White men at race to dinner.
Just so disrespectful.
Quite honestly, if white men were going to do something about racism, you had 400 years. You could have done it.
You mean like we did? You mean like how
they didn't like
how Britain
like went around ending
abolished slavery?
Yeah, or the Civil War.
You mean like that? But how America abolished slavery? You mean like that? You mean like that?
Yeah.
Again, as we talked about earlier, there's plenty of countries in the world where slavery still happens.
And you know what?
Why
They're not
talking about them?
Western nations.
No, that's why she doesn't give a shit. That's why she doesn't give a shit. This is
why
fucking
Jon
actually
Stewart
triggering
is
me.
being
Now
so
I'm
fucking
triggered,
smug.
dude.
He's a fucking retard.
It really makes me sad that Jon Stewart's fallen to this kind of whatever this is. Yeah, why don't you talk about all the slave markets that exist in the world, lady? Oh, you'd never talk about that because you don't give a shit.
It's because she doesn't know anything.
You don't actually care. No, she doesn't care. That's the reality.
Then
She doesn't actually care. She might know. I think
No.
actually that people like this might know, and they just don't care because they'd rather
No, they don't
rage
fucking know
against
shit.
white
These
people.
people are morons.
I don't know. Mine's more dire of perspective. Yours is a little bit more hopeful, although both are depressing.
No, I just think that they're complete morons and they just sit fucking huffing their own farts all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or in her case, she spends most of the time eating.
Yeah, either one are a possibility.
Yeah.
All the screaming. Yes,
so-
Queen Slay.
That laugh is so fucking disingenuous.
I think he knows that what she just said is ridiculous, but he has to go along with it because he can't go against it, right?
Now, if he laughed because he thought what she said was just completely fucking stupid, then that would actually be quite funny. She just said it was nonsense.
I don't think, because Jon Stewart.
We
is
should have a
not-
conversation, but the second a white man says something I disagree, I'm going to dismiss him because he's a white man talking.
The thing is, Jon
God
Stewart
damn, you're a
is
stupid
not
bitch.
completely. He's somewhat politically erudite. He really is. So I think he might be laughing at how stupid the shit she just said is, or because actually his laugh here looks fake. To be honest, do you see what I mean?
She makes many farts to huff.
Oh, she makes many toots. If you want to buy some farts in a jar from her, I guarantee she's got a supply ready to go. Up in
No,
that
she
brapper.
doesn't, because if she farts, she'll fucking crack the glass.
Subscribe to her OnlyFans and buy a fart jar from her.
Oh, god damn it.
That brapper has got a lot of toots coming out of it, I guarantee it.
Imagine if she
I'm
farts
gonna be
into a plastic
degenerate,
one, it'll
goddammit.
stain the bloody...
Just saying, she
stain the
eats a
jar,
lot.
yeah.
She eats a lot of probably like very gross, greasy shit.
Of course she does. She doesn't eat healthily. Look at this fucking size of that whale.
What are you talking about, Spoon? Some people are just born big boned. She can't help it.
No, you're born
it's
big-assed.
It's healthy at every size.
No, it isn't. Well, I hate...
I hate that shit, man. I hate it.
I will openly say this. I despise fat people.
Okay, I really
No,
don't
no,
hate fat-
no,
hang on.
No,
I want to
no,
say my-
I
can I say
will
my
say
side?
this. No, I'll say mine first.
You
I
say-
don't
okay.
care because if you are overweight, it is that you are ill-disciplined and you don't know when to
No.
stop, and that is gross in a human being.
A lot of people were raised in families that gave them very bad habits. I don't hate fat people at all. Okay, I hate.
Then get up off your fat
Fat-
ass and take care of
Hang
it.
on. I don't hate fat people at all. I hate fat people who are obnoxious about being fat. I hate that. That shit I hate. I really hate people who just like, I have a thyroid problem. That shit fucking drives me up the goddamn
That's
fucking
rubbish,
wall.
by the way.
That shit drives me nuts. But because I guarantee she's got a thyroid problem. I have a gluten allergy. That's why I eat nothing but bread. Anyway.
No, she ate a thigh and a guy named Roy. That's how she got that fucking thing.
Thyroid problem. Oh, dude. Bruh.
8 years
I'm
old.
shutting you down right now.
Oh, go ahead.
not
Oh, shut him
responsible
down.
for anyone
the point
before me.
is, I'm so tired of
I'm
just
so tired of you.
engaging in this conversation.
If you want to be less,
So
if you want to be less tired, you fat ass, lose some weight. Yeah.
And this deep hurt that Andrew has about talking about racism. And Chip, God bless you, but I'm gonna put everybody in the thing. All of us white people do this.
Oh my god, here goes all
collectivism.
everyone is racist. Everyone is sexist. Here it is. It's the same bullshit. The same fucking bullshit. They never move off this. How do you fix it, bitch? How do you do anything? No, because the point is not to fix it. It's not to make anything better. It's just to create a dysgenic, dysfunctional society, which is what she fucking wants, to create her glorious people's revolution, even if she knows it or not. Doesn't matter. That's what it's
Okay,
about.
so if you can lump a whole bunch of white people under the ideas of your sins...
Did you notice they muted? Did you notice they
Yeah,
muted
hold
Andrew,
on,
by the way?
wait.
Go ahead.
Does that mean that I can lump all black people together as a bunch of criminally prone maniacs?
No, Spoon. Only white people are a monolith.
Now, the way they treat black
Only
people,
straight
I
people are
can
monolith.
disagree.
Only straight white people are monoliths.
Nah,
Everything else is very
I'm
complicated and
sorry. I think
confusing and nuanced.
this worldview is very incoherent. If they can do that stupid shit, then so can I.
You have to understand these people don't believe in objective reality. They believe everything is subjective. They believe everything is based on social perception. So no, there's no, there's no inconsistency in their mind.
She's
when
an
they say
intellectual
all-
heavyweight.
There's no inconsistency in their mind when they say all white people this, all white people that, but don't say that about black people, because again, all of this it's subjective. It's all
that's good.
Marxist,
Intellectual
communist
heavyweight.
thought. It's complete bullshit, man. But this lady is so nasty. She's so nasty.
I don't care if we say we're abolitionists. I don't care if we say we're progressive. I don't care if we're literally members of the KKK. Every single.
So you think you're as
She
bad
thinks-
as the KKK?
That's what she just said. She said that.
So you think
all of
everyone
them
on your panel is as bad as the KKK?
is a KKK member. Might as well be, because they're white.
That
because
is
of the
stupidest
circumstance.
fucking thing.
Because of the circumstance of their birth, something they cannot help. They're all
Calm down.
evil because of how they were born. You are a terrible, nasty lady.
White person upholds these systems and structures of white supremacy.
Which they still cannot identify. All they've identified
No.
is
They
the
brought up some shit from the 1960s and the
but that's
1850s.
but that's not regular people. That's the state apparatus.
Right, but it doesn't matter. And by the way, can't bring up anything that's less than 70 years old, can you? You can bring up 70-year-old shit.
Okay, so by the way, just if I'm following this logic, if we can show
if
we
you're-
clearly can. Hold on, I'm not done yet. God's sakes.
I'm sorry, Spoon, I'm sorry.
If we can identify the so-called structures by their own admission, they were all done by white Democrats. So does that mean if I want to dismantle these structures, I have to vote for Republicans?
I guess so. That's very, what a good point.
Thank you.
Yeah, all of these racist things were enacted by Democrats, so I guess you better vote Republican
Yeah.
because they were all enacted by Democrats. But her point is,
Because you
everyone is
will notice
racist all the time.
All
You
of
all are
the
evil.
all of
Not her, though.
the worst disparities that we have are all done by blue states, and all the people are moving to red states. So,
Yeah, Frag, by the way,
Hmm.
she thinks of white supremacy as a Boolean value. It's either true or false. There's nothing in between. Yeah, and I think she thinks if white, then true. That's what she thinks. If white, then true, white supremacy equals yes. That's it. It's ridiculous. Doesn't
Well-
matter that white people abolished slavery. Yeah, we did it. But guess what? Almost every culture through the entire history of
Yeah.
world history has engaged in slavery at some point or another, regardless
Yeah.
of race. So everyone has done it. But white people were the ones that ended it.
Yeah. And for the vast majority of history, you wouldn't transfer people from one part of the world to another because it was too expensive. You would enslave people next door because it was easier.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have to be clear that the slavery that occurred in the United States was definitively racial, whereas in many other places in the world it was not racial. Okay.
Yeah, there's a fair few white slaves in
Yes.
America as well.
Yes, there was racial slavery in other parts of the world, but it was predominantly racial in the United States. That is true.
And the first legal case about slavery, the slaver was black.
Yeah, and also there was an indentured servitude
Which I
that
thought was
occurred with
pretty based,
mostly
actually.
Irish people, for example, indentured servitude that occurred
Yeah.
starting even before slavery. So that had occurred beforehand. But this
Yeah,
this
but kids of the
woman is-
Irish are barely people.
Fuck you, you live in Ireland, you weirdo.
That's why it's funny.
And we have got to talk about it.
How about you do more than talk about it? Because you're just saying words. Although, actually, I have no problem with the Irish. I do like seeing them beaten rugby, though. That
she
gives me great
said,
joy.
but Spoon, she said in the beginning that talking was the most important thing.
Yeah,
that
but
talking is
but
what-
it's only if you agree with her.
Only if you agree with her, of course.
Yeah.
And that talking is the most important thing. Because of course she can't get her fat
you
ass to do
need
anything.
Well, to be fair, it's very difficult to
really
do that when you're
detest
that
this woman.
size.
Yeah, that would
It's
be
very difficult to get up your fat ass when your fat ass is on gravitational pull.
Can't really march.
No,
Well, she would certainly shake the earth if she marched against this stuff.
yeah. She wouldn't be able to defend the KKK meeting with her fat ass, where everyone can identify her from a fucking mile off.
We'd be able to, yeah, they would be able to make a freaking Klan road big enough. And she's crying.
If I could finger snap, I would finger snap right now.
Ew.
Why? That's the.
Because he knows he
God.
can't say anything against her because she is the glory, because even though she's white, look how happy she is right now.
You know what I hate most about these people? Is
What?
you will
I hate a
never-
lot about her.
Yeah.
I really dislike this woman. I really dislike
I
her.
would pay good money to see this woman talk with Larry Elder.
That
Larry
would be a
Elder
nightmare.
Larry Elder would beat her so bad she
she'd
would
call-
lose at least half her body weight by the end of the
Dude,
conversation.
she would call him a coon and Uncle Tom. I guarantee it.
Of course she would. Probably
She
within
would-
about 30 seconds.
People like this, they talk about how much they love black people, but the second that they are faced with a black person who disagrees with them politically,
yes. They get
they call them
racist real fucking fast.
real quick. And they will throw out words like coon and Uncle Tom without a second thought. It's
Yes.
disgusting. It really is sickening to me.
Let's
Will you be
remove it then
finger-snapping
from
her
the.
calling me a racist, John?
Let's.
Also, hey, Larry Elder fucking kicks ass.
Also, yeah,
You're-
thank you, Andrew. He says, I really don't appreciate being called a racist.
Yeah,
'Cause
which
I
is
wouldn't-
just the same take.
And John's got to think about how he's going to respond to that, but let's see.
No,
You've been
I don't want to lock her in the room with Larry Elder because she will try to eat him to beat him.
Yeah, she tried to eat him.
Yeah.
I don't know if Larry'd be able to. I think he could defend himself. She doesn't have any strength. Well, she's very large. She could maybe just like
Sit
on him.
Yeah.
doing a pretty good job.
Larry
there,
Elder,
so-
the high
Whoa,
intelligent
you
Uncle
did a good
Ruckus.
job. Did you hear that? Okay, I want to go back. You did a good job yourself of making you look like a racist. Look at this.
Snap right now.
Will
Let's
you be
remove it then from
finger-snapping her
the.
calling me a racist, John?
You've been doing a pretty good job with it yourself there. So
What has he done to make himself look like a racist in this entire conversation? Not a single goddamn thing.
By the way, I think an actual racist would complain about the melting pot thing.
Yeah, they would complain about something like that. They wouldn't just say,
Like, if you think the country was rooted in white supremacy and racism, they would think we've done a really shitty job because it isn't like that anymore.
nothing he said was racist in the slightest. Not in the slightest.
Like, you should listen to, like, racist songs from, like, Johnny Rebel, for example, and then you listen and you look at America right now. And yeah, they're not very happy with the way America was going, like, back in the 60s because it was getting more progressively better for people of color. So
They don't like that,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah, they don't like that.
The left, the far leftists do not want the black community to excel and succeed, because having them be perpetual victims and perpetual
Get some
underclass,
votes, yeah.
it not only gets them votes, but it gives them talking points like this. They
Yes.
love keeping black people down. They absolutely do. And that's why I'm very happy that there are black people like the Hodge twins who recognize, and of course, Thomas Sowell, who recognize
Hell yeah.
that this is a tactic by the left to keep black people down into a servitude, second class citizen
Yes.
position, so that they can keep you as slaves to their political ideology.
You know what I find
They
really
want
funny?
you to be a slave. Even Kanye West said this.
Yeah,
even
a lot of
Kanye
black
West
people
said
have
this. Yes.
Because what I find interesting is that, and this is something that they can't understand. I've said this before, that if you want to dismantle this white supremacy, which is just westernization, let's just be brutally honest.
Night our turrets, by the way.
Yes.
Sorry.
If you were to do that, what exactly do you replace it with?
They don't have an answer, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That's my fucking point. And if you look
Of
at
course.
people like say the Hodge twins who hold this position, that's maybe
Mm-hmm.
not the wisest thing to do. You kind of want to say, how did they become successful exactly?
The Hodge twins? By
Yes.
speaking truth to power.
And also
to
by
use a
being
leftist
funny.
terminology. And by being very funny.
Yes, and
Yeah.
they're entertaining.
They are entertaining. That's why I love the
Yes.
Hodge twins.
Yes. So why is it that they can do that thing successful and become really wealthy and good at it, but other people of color can't do that same thing?
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's really stupid. Is because you can just point at them and go like, why is it that these particular group of black people can be successful?
Because they're talented.
Yes.
That's why. And not
Yes,
everyone is
but,
talented.
Yeah, but that's my point. But that's not race based. It's talent based.
No, it's talent. Yes, exactly. It's talent. So yeah, it's
Mhm.
they're talented, They're witty, they're funny. That's why people listen to the Hodge twins. That's why. I love the Hodge twins. They're fucking awesome.
Yes, Hodge twins are fucking funny as hell.
Yeah, they're
yeah, they can make sex noises, and I find that fucking hilarious.
But I don't think this lady would like them very much. I think she'd call them probably race traitors or something like that, you know? I guarantee that if you got this woman to actually say her real opinions on people like the Hodge twins or Thomas Sowell, she'd say race traitor.
Oh, Diamond and Silk are funny too.
Diamond, I love Diamond and Silk. I love Diamond and Silk.
Yeah,
Candace Owens, I have some issues with because of some of her previous history, but people can all grow and we shouldn't.
I don't trust her for shit.
I just don't trust her. That's the only reason why.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
Only because of her history with the social autopsy stuff.
Yeah, I don't. There's not a lot of black females. No, Elliot Hall's a fucking star.
Diamond and Silk are amazing. If you're not familiar with them,
there's
check
this
them
one.
out.
There's this one black chick on TikTok as well who just says things very, very bluntly. I've only ever seen her clips. I don't know her name, but she has really fucking cool bass takes.
Oh, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
TikTok's weird.
But
it's
you know what's weird to me is that they why is it that if you have these kind of tastes, you're considered like
you're not
popular.
black anymore. They basically
Yes.
kick you out of the black community.
Yes,
It's-
but why is it that you can behave in a certain cultural trait that makes the majority like you? Well, the reason I find it weird that you lose
well,
your
it's
black
as
card.
it's as Joe Biden said. You can either vote for me or Trump. If you vote for Trump, then you ain't black.
Yes, but what I find weird is why is it that that's only a thing for black people when every other immigrant who comes to the United States does that same thing and they're not accused of being white? Why is it only black
it's-
people who do that?
It's bizarre that there's
It's
so much
weird.
focus on 13% of the United States population, right?
Yes. Because like I said in my video, it's because if you actually were to include other minorities, then it would destroy that fucking
Yeah,
disparities.
your whole narrative.
Yes, because Thomas Sowell had this bit. He said, I think it was either in Intellectuals and Race or Vision of the Anointed, where he said that if you were to look at, say, white people get approved twice as much as black people for loans. So black people get turned down twice as much. But if you look at between whites and Asians, whites get turned down 4 times the rate that Asians do.
Right.
But you don't ever hear that bit.
No, you would never hear that because that's fine.
Yeah.
That's allowed for. Also,
Yes.
yeah, Young Ripa, awesome. Jay Longbone, I love Jay Longbone's content. If you guys aren't subscribed to her, check her out on YouTube. Jay Longbone, she does like a media coverage stuff. She's awesome. And based and triologic, also very cool. There's a lot of like based black people out there, and by that I just mean like not just saying like they agree with my politics. It doesn't make them based. It just means that they don't just go along with ascribed media political positions.
Yes.
They have their own opinions. And that's what I grew up around. Again, I grew up in Baltimore City, man. 80% black. Okay, and you grew up in South Africa.
Yep.
Which is
An experience all on its own.
very, very large black population.
Yeah.
So
If Mauler is black, then so am
I
I.
just
'cause
think
apparently he and I sound similar.
Mahler's Welsh.
Yes, so it's probably more in common with you, actually.
My only point is, I kind of get an idea that a lot of people like this large lady actually don't know any black people. Do you know what I mean?
Of course not. She probably lives in
They
a
just want to
gated
speak
community.
for them. Now, I don't know. But it seems to me like they just want to speak for them. And I find that really gross. Anyway, let's continue. We're at like 12. It's like past midnight, 12:30. Let's try to get through this video.
But Andrew, you're taking words out of context and blowing them out.
Whoa. You've
Coming
taken
from
all of
you,
Andrew's words
that's
out of
really
context.
rich.
That's what you've done. Look, Andrew's already responding. Let's go.
We
proportion, so
think
that-
the problem of a black America today is from the GI Bill, which was done in the 1940s and ended 50 or 66 fucking years ago. More than half a century, which to me means that they think black people are unable to make progress in even 50 fucking years.
70. They think black people are not able to make any progress in 70 years after we're ending the legal discrimination against black people. Because what we've done.
Yeah.
The United States has ended legal discrimination against black people for like about 70 years.
Wait, there's a Mauler plushie? Really?
Yeah. There's a Molar and a Rags plushie. Yeah.
I should really make one.
But
I'm not really sure how I would make it look though, because the spoon is flat, but the hat is not. So it might be weird.
The point is though, is that they're saying black people are not able. What you're saying, as far as I can tell, they're trying to conflate it between like these old things that happened 70 to 150 years ago. But what you're really saying is that black people have no agency, and the reasons, even after the U.S. has abandoned all of these racist policies or racialized policies, that it's black people still can't get out from under them. Why? You're saying you have to be saying that there's something about black people that's preventing them. Then at that point, that's why they have to go back to this very old shit. Because otherwise, that has to be your point. And I think that the problem is in the black community. It's in disincentivizing black fatherhood. It's in incentivizing degeneracy and weird shit, and like not wanting to promote positive aspects in the black community, like fatherhood, like industriousness. Instead, it's just like, oh, just try to see if you can go get a rap deal. See if you can try to get into a sport. And that sports stuff, it's fine. It's all good to want to aim for that. But with a community of millions of people, not everyone can go into that 1%. Less than 1%. That microcosm of people who will become sports stars and rap artists, right?
Yep.
We need to have other structures in place.
The word artist is maybe a bit misplaced.
I like rap. I'm a big rap fan, okay?
Yeah, I'm a metalhead.
I know. That's where you and I are not the same person. I'm a big rap. I love rap.
But for some reason, I can throw heavy shit at you, and you're like, I like this.
I do like it as well. I like the heavy
really
shit.
Weird. Like, I threw Suicide Messiah. My black labels decided, like, Aiden is not going to handle this. And he goes, I kind of like this. Like, really? This is, like, heavy as shit. Like, okay.
I'm very open to almost all kinds of music. But the thing is...
That's because he looks like a Viking.
Well, I spoke to... I think... Oh, we can play it, actually. We're allowed to play it if you'd like to. We are allowed... no, the band Tyr.
Oh. I was going to say, I would like to play Black Label Society. That would make me happy.
Well, I messaged them. We are actually given permission to play this song. If you want to play it on the outro, I'll send it to you. If you want to play it for the outro, not right now, but plays for the outro, because the band Tyr, I reached out to them and they were really, really cool. They're a Scandinavian folk metal group, and I reached out to them because I really like their music, and they said, yeah, go ahead. They didn't care. Now, they said that it might get copyrighted claimed by YouTube, but we're already get copyrighted claimed over this fucking Jon Stewart thing, so I'd say we'll end the stream with a little bit of Tyr, Take Your Tyrant, which is a fantastic song.
Black Label is easy listening, really?
Whatever. Anyway, let's sorry, we're getting distracted. We're getting distracted again. We got 8 minutes left. Let's go.
You don't have to deal with having to figure out a way to deconstruct the barriers that were put in place for black people in this country and give them a better chance.
Your opening segment
was brilliant.
No, it was not.
No, it wasn't a shit,
oh, it's just
by the
so
way.
gross. What he has to say that because look, he's looking right at them to be like, yes, I agree with you. Yes, thank you so much. He's a broken man.
No, it's because that bitch would eat him otherwise.
I mean, yeah, he is afraid that she's gonna eat him, I think.
Just look at how fucking big she is.
She is
Again,
literally
heavy
twice his
fucking
size.
duty. Yes.
She is the size of both of these two men put together. How do you
Or
get
more,
that
yeah.
fat? I have to be honest, I don't know how you get that fat.
By not giving a fuck.
A link to their album or something? Yeah, I'll just post post it in here if you want to listen to the song that we'll probably be playing. Anyway. No, it was not. It was awful.
Reductionist, one-sided,
Yes. Yes.
completely
Yes.
biased position.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Andrew, you are correct.
When I watched it, I wondered, have you lived in the same country as everybody else for the last 30 years? It was a...
Look, all John can do is bend over and say, yes, 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 it was brilliant, it was amazing. He can't do anything else.
straw man that you created.
This
Andrew,
wonderful straw man.
Total straw man.
You can
in which every
appreciate
white
things-
person was bad.
Let me just stop for a
Every
second.
black person had the same position.
Thank
can
you.
Appreciate.
You said, that's what you all have just said, is that every black person thinks the same way and acts the same way and feels the same way, and every white person is bad. That's what you have done for the last 10 minutes. And that's what you did.
Yeah.
Go ahead and try to defend yourself, John. Because I don't think Jon Stewart is a bad person, but he's now left in this position where he's got to defend this fucking bullshit. I think
He fucking is now.
you see, like, it feels to me at least that he seems dejected and like he's like, oh fuck, I got to do this shit. But he has to.
Well, yeah, that's because
where
it's the
you live.
position he's in.
You can
Right.
love where you live, and you can honestly diagnose a terrible, terrible illness that has lived in this beautiful place that you call home and love.
The other people
that
next to you,
believe
John,
has
hate America, by
metastasized
the way.
into a cancer that can kill the very thing that you believe in so deeply about this country.
John, the two people
improve
next to
that
you
place
hate
and
America
make it into
and
the
want it to
country
burn to
that
the
it
ground.
stated it was in its founding documents is the duty of.
Hey, John,
Which
if you
we
ask,
rectified. He's
if-
going on his little his rail here, but
If
we
you,
rectified it. We did. That was the point of the civil rights movement. That was the point of the 15th Amendment. We got rid of this because it was a disgusting. Slavery was a disgusting, disgusting practice that America first got rid of before the rest of the world. Well, UK actually got rid of first. Actually,
I was going to say that the
England got rid
UK
of it
was able
first.
to do it without a war.
America got rid of this. Slavery still goes on all across the world, and yet America said no. UK, of course, did do it first. You're right.
And also just...
What are you doing?
By the way, John, if you were to ask black people if America is so terrible, where else in the world they would go? They wouldn't. They would stay in the United States. Why do you think that is?
Nobody would leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, yeah, ask black people, where would you like to... If black people said, well, I hate America because it's so racist, okay, leave. And then where would you like to go? Pick one.
Yeah.
Liberia? You think that's going to go well? You think that's going to work out well?
If you go to a place entirely run by black people, it's not going to be nearly as economically efficient or prosperous as the country run by white people. I wonder why that is the case.
Liberia was created as a new homeland for black people.
Yeah, but if you want prosperity, you need whites in government.
Liberia is a shithole.
Case in point. I know that people will say that's racist. I don't give a fuck. I'll stand by that.
But Liberia is a shithole. Like that's a reality.
Yeah.
So what do you want, John? What do you fucking want? He's just gonna sit here to virtue signal. That's all.
Of everybody who lives here. So
Indeed.
do not tell me who I am or what I believe, a motherfucker.
I'm just saying that you
God, that was so
what was up
cringe.
with that? That was very cringe. What the fuck was that?
Ah, God, like it.
Motherfucker. What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Like that actually hurts.
That
Like
hurts, yeah.
actually
It's
hurt.
painful cringe.
The cringe.
created a trauma.
God, that was gay. So gay.
I apologize. I fucking.
No, you don't.
When you get older, it's harder to control the emotions. But let's talk about solutions.
Andrew
Joe
just looks
Biden.
like he wants to die, by the way. Poor Andrew Sullivan looks like he just wants to just escape the mortal plane to get away from this cringe. And I agree with him. I that's how I feel right now as well. That
This is why I advocate for, secession.
that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah,
That's how I
you can't
feel.
fucking deal with these retards.
The thing is, I don't think Jon Stewart believes what he's saying.
I hope
I really
not.
don't think he does. No, I don't think he does. Because I don't think he's that stupid. He just doesn't want to he doesn't want to look bad in front of his audience and that fat, nasty lady and the other idiot, Chip. Who, again, don't be named Chip next to a person that fat. It's dangerous.
Lisa, I'll start with you. What is the future? How do we heal a country that has a really difficult time dealing with this, as we see from 4 people that I think like and
If you were saying something, I can't hear shit.
Oh, I'm a fucking idiot. I muted myself. Okay.
Oh, now it's doing
Okay.
it.
What I was going to say is, okay, I don't know
Boomer.
what's about to happen here, but I'm pretty sure that Lisa does not have a plan as to how to heal America because she does not want to heal America. She loves this. And why does she love it? As we've seen from so much of the
She's
evidence
paid to
that
say
comes
the
out of the
shit.
left, They want to make people angry. They want to make people upset so that they will create a violent revolution to overthrow the nasty, evil capitalist empire. And of course, place themselves as oligarchs in the new glorious People's Soviet Socialist Republic that they will all be oligarchs in. Now, unfortunately, there's way too many of them to all be oligarchs, but that's what they think of themselves as and what they're hoping for. That won't happen, bitch, and you're going to get eaten because there's not going to be enough food, and you're looking pretty tasty real quick.
Respect each other and yet still can't have a conversation.
I think the first thing that we need to understand is that all of us white people have a responsibility to engage in these conversations.
I hate the way that she is talking like a valley girl and ending all her sentences with this inflection at the end.
She has a
Bitch, if you fucking talk like this, you smack the shit out of you.
That's called up talk. That's called up talk. You can also know that she has something called vocal fry, which is that she's got both vocal fry and up talk. It's extreme Californian talk. Extreme Californian
people who talk
like this. Yep. Up talk, which is always up talk is always condescending. Up talk is condescending. So she's got up talk and she's got or up speak, and she's also got vocal fry.
As hell.
Now I occasionally have some vocal fry. I don't mean to, but like that's shit. That's vocal fry. She's got vocal fry and she's got up talk. Very condescending, bitchy, nasty.
Frank said your Russian accent sounds like you were in the Command and Conquer Red Alert, and it actually does.
That's the point. That's the entire point.
Fucking base game.
Glorious People's Soviet Socialist Republic.
Regularly.
But when it gets hot like this, what do you do? How do you back out of that and remind everybody like, hey, okay, let's take a breath. We're all, I think we're all decent, good-hearted people who are trying to
No, you don't. No. You how do you say we're decent-hearted people when you said, or you did not push back in any way when this bitch said all of you are as racist as a KKK member? You didn't say shit, John.
No, he didn't say a single thing. He just let them go ahead there and talk their trash.
Yeah, so I don't quite...
Yeah, no. You are full of shit. Oh, don't.
I could have said the K word. I didn't go that far.
No, don't. I like Jon Stewart. I just don't know what's happened to him. Again, I feel like he's been just demoralized. He's been demoralized. And by the way, they called him a white supremacist. They called him a white supremacist by proxy because they said all people, including him. And he's Jewish. I don't think that. I'm sorry. I don't think that Jon Stewart is a white supremacist Jew. I found that really offensive. No one brought that up. He kind of brought up that he was Jewish earlier. I think to be like, wait a minute, I'm a Jew. And it's like, yeah, well, they don't see. They see you as white, so they don't give a shit if you're Jewish or not.
But he's gay.
How to do it?
Yes,
he's nice straight, isn't he?
We have to.
I don't mean that gay.
Oh.
Know that we have to hold people accountable, but we also have to hold them with grace and with compassion. And we have to, we have to do each of them.
You've done nothing to show grace and compassion.
What do you mean?
You just called Andrew Sullivan a racist multiple times in the stream. Where's your grace and compassion there, you fat bint?
Someone just said, "Soon I bestow upon you a K-word pass." Oh, excellent. I will make use of that.
Also, Kizza for £5. Again, Kizza, thank you. I'll be sending these people to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Spice.
It sure hasn't. I mean, Elon Musk has been there.
I mean, yeah. Well, like, actually, that's true. Space has been colonized by Elon Musk. Oh, no. Capitalized
by a white South African.
Colonized by capitalism by South African.
Of course, the white South African is going to...
very proud of that.
Of course, like the white South African is going to save the world. What a surprise, obviously.
Yeah. You know, to Lisa's...
Like, who else was it going to be, really?
Point, I think at the individual level, there are things we can do.
Look how sad Andrew looks.
What I think is that a lot of racism, when you strip it away, it's about someone trying to take my resources and stack...
No one isn't, you fucking mongoloid.
Someone trying to take your resources, and not in the modern sense of what you're talking about in terms of racism.
You know
what they're seeing is racism. What they're seeing as racism is like microaggressions.
Do you know what I've just noticed?
Yeah.
All 4 of these people have a different definition of what they think racism is. Literally.
And it's never been defined.
Yes.
They tried to define it, but they couldn't.
John says, who the fuck knows why? It's just like typical Hollywood leftist crap. This guy thinks he's taking my resources. I don't even know how the fuck he gets,
But
like,
how?
which
Where?
resources and how. I don't get that
Where
bit.
is that happening?
The bitch next to her, I don't know what the hell she's talking about. She's just like, oh, systemic racism and systems
Systemic racism.
Yeah, which just means nothing, by the way.
Where is the taking of resources from Black people in the last
Yes, I don't
70
know what that
years?
means.
Where has that happened? Point it out. You can't, because it's nonsense. First of all, it's nonsense. Secondly, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's like
Point
Tim
out,
just said,
you
it's just
can't.
basic tribalism. So he's taking his resources.
Yes. Thank
Which
you, Mark Webster.
ones?
You're correct.
By doing what? Like, his view of racism is the zero-sum fallacy. I don't even know how we can apply it to this, because he's just saying... I hate these people because everything is vague, with nothing specific. One is systemic racism. What's systemic racism? Oh, when there's...
And that's
when
on
there's,
purpose. It's on purpose to make everything very vague.
Yeah, but it just...
So nothing can
but
be
it's
defined.
just, it's this stupid loop. It's just like, oh, it's just... there's systemic racism. Give me proof. Oh, there's disparate... like, for example, statistics, and you go, how do you think they came about? Oh, because of systemic racism. It's like there's this bit in Beavis and Butthead where they're watching The King by Tom Petty, and Beavis says to Butthead, it's like, he says, why is Tom Petty famous? He says, he got famous by being on TV. Yeah, but how did he get on TV? Because he's famous. Yeah, but how did he get famous? Because he's on TV. Yeah, but how did he get on TV? Because he's famous. It's like, it's that. It's just fucking... Right.
Precisely. Also, David Donovan, we've been taking taxes from Black people. Sounds like taxation is theft. They would never admit to that, because they like taking taxes from people and
they give it back to them in the form of welfare.
So they would never admit to that. But yeah, of course, we here agree that taxation is theft.
Of course
but
we do.
I do not think that anyone on this panel, besides...
hate the state.
I don't think anyone on this panel would agree with it. I know it sounds funny that we're monarchists who hate the state, but it makes sense if you think about it a little bit. You have to. It is a bit. It's not prima facie obvious as to why it makes sense, but it does make sense. I guarantee it.
Basically, you want an absolute ruler that is above the people, that can look out for their best interests, that is immune to their stupid, childish whims of ideological fantasies.
Yeah,
that's about as basic as I can put it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's correct. That's a good short form way of saying that. Yeah.
Thank you.
We need something akin to a new deal.
I have big brain takes sometimes.
Something to a Marshall.
A new deal.
We basically, instead of building another B-1
he wants a new deal. Did you see what he said?
He said a new
deal
plan.
And a new Marshall Plan.
Yeah, well, I got to deal with the Marshall Plan, but the New Deal was shit.
Massive government expenditure on what? On what? What do you want?
Someone said anarchic monarchy. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, we are. I would say we're narco-monarchists.
A phrase which makes most people's heads
which
spin.
Sounds ridiculous, but it's not when you think about it. It just sounds stupid.
Basically, we invest in our infrastructure, schools, bridges. I mean, the list is very, very long.
Right. Andrew, I would think that's something actually that might appeal to you in terms.
By the way, this idea that education is the end-all and be-all and everything, I disagree. Because giving people education does not make them smart.
Yeah.
And also, it's a cultural thing. Like, if you give a whole bunch of books to blacks and Asians, who do you think would make better use of them?
I don't know.
Asians,
the void that bites. I have a whole point about the Singaporean government that I could go into, but I don't have it in front of me right now.
I'm asking for the second coming of Christ. No, because Christ was never a monarch.
Well, no, but Christ is the supreme monarch. Christ is king. Christ is Lord above us all.
She's got a bit of a temper. I don't think he'd make a good monarch.
Don't get upset if you're not a Christian. I'm just saying that's the perspective.
So the first prime minister of Singapore is the perfect one.
So I'm not trying to exclude people from my Christian beliefs. People are like, Aiden changes her. I've seen this as like Aiden changes her beliefs is like she changes her underwear. It's like, I was a hardcore pagan for 5 years.
There's some people who think I corrupted Aiden.
Well, you did, obviously. Just kidding. You didn't. No, what really happened, if people are not, just to be clear, you and I met each other and spiraled, I think, in terms of we shared readings that we were looking at together.
Yeah.
And came to these conclusions out of
A mutual
collaborative.
hatred of democracy.
Yeah.
Or a skepticism, let's put it that way. Just to be sticking with the phrases.
Yeah, we just came to these conclusions together.
Yes.
I
think democracy is a gamma fan of monarchy. Really? Yes, I am too. Oh, okay, we're friends now.
I read Hoppa, yeah. So, and then we kind of read some more stuff together, and it became more interesting. That's all.
In terms of rebuilding infrastructure and things, because that's not based on it, but it's rebuilding areas that are entrenched in poverty and those things.
It can be, absolutely, yes.
Bubis, if you want to corrupt Aiden further, give her more examples of why the absolute monarch is based.
That maybe. We'll see.
That's how I got it, though.
I want to hear what Andrew had to say here for a second. Actually, I'm going to go back. Okay.
Hang on.
Based on it, but it's rebuilding areas that are entrenched in poverty and those things.
It can be, absolutely, yes. But I'm sorry to say, I think just white people talking about this endlessly is not going to help actual Black Americans who would deal with it. I have certain ideas about that. I think we need to focus intensely on young education. I think education is crucial.
I agree.
think figuring out a way to help Black...
Unfortunately, like, it can't be funded by the state, because when the state funds education, we see what they do. We looked at this with the entire thing with the Don't Say Gay bill. What the educators want to do in Florida is teach children about butt sex, and they cry. They literally are crying when they're not allowed to do it. So, unfortunately, education is actually not the way. I do disagree with Andrew Sullivan on that. He's not correct there.
What I find bizarre is I watched the previous video that he did to this, was the problem with white people, and it had this black woman who was screaming, which saying, when someone says to her, "Why do you burn down the community? Why do you burn down like your own neighborhood?" And her reply was, "It's not ours. We don't own anything." I'm thinking, let me get this straight. Your justification for why you burn down shit is because it isn't yours.
Yeah, because that's all HUD housing.
Yeah, but in my head I'm thinking,
meaning the state bought the house for you.
But that tells me you have no respect for any property that isn't yours.
Precisely.
Like, this is fucking why everyone wants to get away from you, because you're destructive assholes.
Precisely. They're saying we don't own the property. The state gave it to us, so we don't care if we. So of course, because of course you don't. You didn't pay for it. You didn't work for it. So why would you care if you destroy it?
Yes.
So, absolutely. If you paid for that property, then you're going to respect it.
Yes.
Because you own it, and you're like, I don't want to destroy my property. People who don't own their property don't give a shit.
I made a really base joke. I said, this is why whenever black people go, property value plummets.
Well,
because you have that fucking attitude. Like, because you openly admit that you will happily destroy things that isn't yours. Like, why the fuck would anyone be around you?
I don't know.
Stupid thing to say.
It's really dumb. Let's go on.
Black kids have a stable family. The truth is,
yes.
Oh, look how upset she was about that. Upset.
Yes, because it's a point that she can't defend again.
She's horrified that somebody said it's a good thing for black children to have a stable family. She doesn't want that. She loves the idea of black people not having stable families, because that's what creates the situation that they're in. Look how upsetting it is to her to think about black people having stable family relationships. There is nothing that I would like more than for black people to have stable family environments in the United States. For there to be a black father who helps take care of his children and is a role model to his kids. That's what I want for the black community. I don't want to give them much of money. I want black fathers to be involved in their children's lives. That's what I would like, personally. Oh, what a horrible white supremacist I am, according to this fat lady. No, I want black people to succeed and excel and do great. And they need fathers to do that. They need dads.
If you have a two-parent married home, you're going
how
to
upset she is about that.
You really are.
I didn't grow up in a stable family. I grew up in a single-parent family.
Although that's clear, isn't it?
And so,
I'm just telling you the data. The data is that 30% of African Americans don't have this. It's the biggest factor in getting people into college and succeeding in life.
Yes,
and if you ignore it, we're going to let these black kids down.
No, I think, Andrew, I mean, what I'm hearing is like the pathology of the black family. That was the line. It wasn't the black family, it was the structures. You know, in the 80s, it was crack. It's disinvestment. It's white flight. Family stability, there's an element.
What did I say about white flight? Because that fucking black woman said, we want to destroy shit that isn't ours. And
Look how disgusted the fat lady was, though, at
and
the
the
idea.
destruction was also LBJ, which was a fucking Democrat.
It was not just LBJ, it was Woodrow Wilson. And they all tried to destroy the black family. It has been a multi-generational plot on the part of the Democrats to destroy the
what's
black
funny?
family. They have been adamant about this.
Before LBJ, black families were more intact than white ones, actually.
Yes, because they had to
there
be.
was a high rates of marriage among blacks and whites, actually.
Yes, and because they had to be.
Yeah. And also, their college scores were actually quite high. They're actually quite comparable with whites up until the destruction of the black family, then just like takes a fucking nosedive.
Precisely. And that's the whole thing is that like, is there some genetic component to IQ? Absolutely. But the family is so important to this. And if
I would
you
like
have
to be on this panel, by the way. I would have kicked the shit out of these two.
I know. So, yes, there's a genetic component to it, but what we can't change that, and so it's pointless to focus on. What it is important to focus on is how we can make it so that black people have similar outcomes to white people in the American system. And I think the main way you do that is by promoting black family unity, making sure that they stay together, that there's there's a father, that there's a father there to act as the patriarch, and so that the family is intact.
Very conservative.
That's what I would like. Me is a big racist, apparently, according to these kind of people, is that I want black people to succeed, and the way I want them to succeed is because I want their families to be intact. That's what I would like. And I think we need to work towards that. That's my only opinion on that.
Element of economic stability and family stability. And like that's lost in your conversation.
No, actually, it isn't.
No,
he actually
wasn't even
mentions
brought up.
that, and you people don't actually mention about how it got destroyed because the Democrats who destroyed it.
They just rolled over it. Yeah, they rolled over it because they don't want to talk about how it ended up that
To
way.
be fair, for her to roll over anything is quite a challenge.
Well, if she rolls over something, it is gonna get destroyed. To be fair,
I feel like your defensiveness and the tropes that you use about the black.
I've never once thought he's defensive at all.
No, he was trying to. You called him a racist.
He's trying to explain to you the root of
Wait
the
a minute,
problem.
Wait a minute, though. This started with them calling him a racist, and then called him defensive for saying, "No, I'm not a racist." Yeah, excuse you.
It makes it sound like he needs to accept it.
He addressed your points and was not racist, and then you got pissed. And you're like, "Oh, well, you're sounding a little defensive," because you called him a racist. Called him a racist, you pieces of shit. Fuck you, dudes. What the fuck?
Family being the cause of entrenched poverty in that community.
Because it is.
Ignores why those families are broken up in the first place.
Oh, would you like to have that conversation?
Oh, yeah, would you? Would you like to have the conversation about why those families... No, he wouldn't. No, he's just going to say it's because of racism. That's why they're broken up.
And that's mass incarceration, and that's...
And which hold on, speaking of mass incarceration, which president presided over the largest number of black people getting imprisoned? Bill Clinton, another Democrat.
What?
And who was the guy responsible for helping writing the bill?
But Spoon, what the fuck kind of argument is this, though? I know what you're saying, which is correct.
Which is,
but he's
Joe
saying
Biden.
that black people being imprisoned is why the black fathers are outside of the situation. Well, why is that the case? Could it be because of a culture of fucking goddamn
crime and drugs?
Crime that is encouraged within the black community?
I love how every problem these three yahoos on the left bring up are all done.
Could you listen to a Kendrick Lamar album? Could you listen to a Kendrick Lamar album? Try to listen to some actual fucking rap lyrics. People who grew up in this shit. These white ass people. Oh my god. I grew up in Baltimore, so I got a different perspective from other people. But these fucking crackers, and I will say that as a cracker, I'm allowed to say this. These crackers sitting over here saying this shit. who have never interacted with black people,
And they're as
who have
good as
not
crack.
grown up
They're like
around black
expired
people.
biscuits.
Yeah, well, it's because it's about cracking a whip.
And it's because they're old.
Yeah, this is disgusting. You do not know anything about the black community because you've never interacted with. These people have never interacted with black people. You know what I mean? And they have not. Like, you might have some quote black friends, but you have never been anywhere fucking near the inner city black community in places like Baltimore City. So fuck off.
No, 'cause
You don't
they
know
get
what the
robbed.
fuck you're talking about. You can suck my fucking dick. Fuck you. You're all. I'm actually a little triggered because I can't believe you would say that kind of shit. That stuff makes me so mad. You don't understand why this is happening? It's because you've never interacted with black people. That's why. You've never interacted with black people from inner cities in the United States. That's why you think this shit. Absolute. I'm mad. Sorry, I'm gonna shut myself up.
Epidemic,
Stop it, Aiden. Stop.
and that's
You need to watch the Boondocks. Yes, you need to watch more Uncle Ruckus. I fucking love Uncle Ruckus. Uncle Ruckus is the shit.
the economic opportunity over generations that was defined. So you keep trying to remove things from their historical bearings, and I just think that's
No.
If you can't
No.
diagnose the
Yeah,
The difference is that you're trying to bring things back to 70 years ago and act like there is nothing that's happened ever since then. That's the
Problem.
difference. Historical bearings, 150 to 70 years ago. The most recent thing you have to bring up is 70 years old. That's not historical bearings. You're trying to just not accept modernity, which you love so much in every other case, except in this one. How interesting. How curious.
you can't fix it.
We
So-
need to think about how we help the family restructure.
There are so many jump cuts in this fucking thing. I feel like all
Yeah,
the
yeah,
good
yeah.
spicy takes were removed because you can tell them they're really fucking obvious. I would love to know. I can guarantee you the original take of this was like a fucking hour long. Because, damn.
Structure itself, because
Also, you guys have not diagnosed anything. You've just said, here are some problems that happened in the past, but you have never once even mentioned what were their after effects.
Anything within
Not
the
even
last 70
once.
years. Not one thing from the last 70 years have they brought up. Not
Yeah, actually,
one
the last thing that
thing.
you people have brought up, okay, the mass incarceration, that was done under Bill Clinton. That was in the 90s, so that's 30 years ago. The
Well,
GI Bill
they
ended.
didn't bring that up. Yeah,
Yeah, the GI Bill ended in 56.
56.
The broken up of the black family, that was LBJ. That was in 1964, I think. So,
It sounds right.
yes, the most recent thing you brought up was Democrats'
The Clinton
incarceration. Before that, it was the 60s. Before that, it was the GI Bill, and then the federal jobs, which was the early 1900s, which were
Yeah.
all done in Democrats. You didn't mention a single thing that was done
Oh,
under
it would
Republican
never be able to
administration.
admit
Not
to
even
that.
fucking one. And
Would
I'm
never.
a foreigner, and I know this.
I know. Would never be able to admit to that though, because it's
I would
devastating.
I would love to go on a show where I am the youngest person, but like at least 20 years a foreigner, and kick the shit out of them about their own history.
I know.
It'd be really funny.
Let's keep going.
it's key.
Almost done.
Let's boil it
No,
down
I
then.
mean,
Why do you think
And the foreigner knows more about their history than they do.
Yeah, it's dumb, but she's also like a cinnamon roll out in the.
That's offensive to cinnamon
Distance.
rolls.
I like cinnamon rolls, but she's
Yes,
definitely
but-
like looking.
No, she's more like sourdough pudding.
I'm saying she's looking at one.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
She's like
yeah.
looking. So she's like staring at the cinnamon roll out in the distance. Oh, I'm thinking
Her
about that
face
cinnamon roll.
just looks like she's not happy to be there. Oh
No,
my god, I have to
because she's
listen to a
an
white
idiot.
man who disagrees with me.
Oh no, someone's disagreeing with me. I can't get on Twitter and block him. It isn't like Twitter. I can't just block. Oh no, what will I do?
Fat cunt. Sorry.
the family got that way?
LBJ.
That's how.
Because I
That's
do
exactly
think-
how.
I want to see what he says.
Andrew might not know this, but let's see.
Because I do think it wasn't marriage became less important. Sex outside of marriage came more for all of us.
But
And
you're
now
not
we're seeing
talking
the
about
same
all of
happening
us,
with white
Andrew.
families.
You're talking about
No, but we also.
what
I'm saying is that when you look
specifically
at white
the black
families
community.
today, you see
And no, he actually isn't. He just said all of us. And then you said
Yeah.
you're not talking about it. So how
Also-
do you know what he is thinking more than he is, John? Would you mind explain to me? Would you mind explaining to me your clairvoyance
Yeah,
and
how
your
curious.
insight
How
of Andrew?
curious.
You fucking disingenuous Jew.
it's not disingenuous. That's mind reading, right?
Or lack thereof.
It's called solipsism. Also, Justin Lofton for $10, just give us $10. Thank you,
Thank you.
Justin. But it's called solipsism. He just thinks he knows what's going on inside the other person's brain. That's ridiculous. You cannot know what's going on inside someone else's brain, and to pretend that you can is disingenuous, inherent. You do not know what's going on inside someone else's head.
The same thing.
Oh, so you're upset about that as well?
Of course I am.
Okay,
I'm
all
not
right.
Yeah.
blaming them.
I see.
This is a family question. Why don't black you
Of
can
course
do
he's upset
better
about
if
it.
your parents stayed home and take care of you until you leave home? It's just a
Let me.
fact.
How are you supposed to do that when you work a low-income job and you don't have childcare?
Why is this only an issue for black people and not an issue for all of the millions of white people who live and work low income jobs? Why is this only an issue for blacks, Jon Stewart? Why? Please explicate
Is
to
it
me.
because black women have sex at a extremely high irresponsible rate?
But that's what he's saying. He's like, how are they supposed to take care of their kids if they have to work a job?
But by the way,
Why is that racialized? Why is that racialized? It's not racialized whatsoever. It should not be.
do you want to know some interesting stats?
Hmm?
From the Before the Great Society programs, I think blacks' single motherhood rate, I think, was under 25%.
It's 70%.
Yes. Oh, now
70% of children in the black community
yes.
are born to single mothers.
Yes, but that's what it was then. Now it is that. So it's increased over.
What was your number?
50%.
It can't be 140. That's a nonsensical number.
No. It was under, I think, under 25%.
It can't be the number that's nonsensical.
Under 25%. Why is that nonsensical?
Oh, under 20.
Under 25%.
I thought you said 125.
No,
Sorry.
under 25%.
Yeah, so that's what it's been for a while. Yeah.
Yes, prior to the Great
So
Society
75,
programs.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now it's roughly 70 to 75%, like 50 years later.
Same thing.
More than 50 years later, right? So that happened, and white people, their single motherhood rate is what it is now. When
Probably what,
blacks,
50?
Yes, when it was their single motherhood rate is the same as it was for blacks in the 60s. So white people have 5 times to 1 the population against blacks. They outnumber blacks 5 to 1, and the motherhood rate of blacks is 3 times as high. That is a conversation that you may need to have, but no one is going to have that conversation.
And I'll tell you this, I think I might have told you this before, is that I've obviously known a lot of black people in my life, and every single black person that I've known has been from a single mother household.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that until I looked back on my life and went like, wait a minute. Every single one. My best friend growing up, single mother household. Her husband, she was a PhD, by the way. Her husband left her because she got pregnant with her second child. The second child had a disability, and he just left. Cool. My good friend of mine in college, same kind of not that kind of issue, but like just he was a very smart guy, very intelligent, highly intelligent man, and his dad just didn't care. His whole thing is that he wanted to write his great American novel of suffering. Literature major, obviously. No dad. I dated a black guy. Some people get upset about this, but great guy. I was set up by a friend of mine. We dated for a while. Great guy. Also, single mom. He barely knew his dad, and then his dad died when I was dating him. We went to his funeral. And it was so weird because he was like, I barely knew my dad, and told me that kind of stuff. And it was really weird to me, as not just as a white person, but as like an ex-outsider, as his girlfriend. You know, we've been dating for like a year, and it was weird to go to that funeral to see that he didn't know his own father. You know what I mean? It was bizarre. And his father seemed like a really cool guy. And I was at his dad's funeral, and they were describing his life, and I was crying because they were describing this man's life, and it sounded, very impressive to me. And I'm crying because this man's dead, and he wasn't crying. It was like I was like the only person at the funeral crying. And I felt like, what the fuck's going on here, right? I don't know. But those are the 3 Black people I've been very, very close to, who I knew had no father influence in their life. And I don't know why that is. And by the way, like the last some people were quite wealthy, by the way. Like, they didn't live like in the ghetto, you know? They lived in like
Mortal's plushie is dope.
Dude, fucking ignoring my epic story.
I'm terribly sorry. It
is a very cool plushie. It's a very cool plushie.
Depressing story about funerals and lack of fathers, but go on.
No, that's all I was gonna say. Is that no,
so you got pissed at me just for that, really? Fuck you.
I'm not pissed at you at all. I'm just joking. But yeah, like it was weird. It was very weird that we went to his funeral in New York, and we were all just like, let's just go out and have fun. He was upset, obviously, because he barely knew his father. He was a very well-adjusted person. I would call him very white, if you want to use that terminology. He was a software developer, you know.
Very white,
right?
Man.
So, software developer, and
oh shit!
What?
That girl just linked me a Tetris goal 521,000. Fuck you.
Get this shit.
Oh,
anyway,
God, that is a hell of a score to be. God.
My only point is that, like, all of my life, I've grown up around Black people, and I've also seen the fatherlessness of these situations, and every time it's not been good. The best one was with my friend he's a very rich software developer now. Like, he makes a lot of money. Last time I spoke to him, like, he makes like fucking $500,000 a year. My dude.
Sorry, my brain is now switching on to Tetris mode. But
just saying, he makes a shit ton of money now. Good for him, which is fantastic. But yeah, it was a very weird experience to be at a Black man's funeral. I saw him he was a saxophonist. I got to see him play live once before he passed away. It just felt really weird, and it felt also really weird to be in a big church with a bunch of one of like 3 white people, and I'm the only one crying. I'm like, what the fuck's going on, you know? It's very bizarre. We should finish this. Sorry, my weird story sucks.
Well, it's really tough, which is why we need to address that. Absolutely.
But that's what we just talked about.
Of course we do, and that's important. I agree. I would spend more on that. I'd spend more on schooling. I would spend more on childcare. But I do not think you can dismiss culture.
So that's the point that I'm getting to, Andrew, which I think you've been dodging around. What do you mean by
No, he's
culture?
not been dodging shit.
I mean a culture in which the family unit is not as strong as it might be, and in which the sense of making it in America is regarded as something that might not be.
You're not talking about everybody.
That's the source of a lot of our problems.
You're talking about Black people. But why do you think you seem to...
Because of government programs, you stupid fucking Jew.
Precisely. Well,
I feel like somehow Black culture is uniquely destructive to family.
Yeah, it's just because it is.
It is. It is.
It is, you
It is destructive
dumbass.
to the family. It is 100% destructive to the family. And I don't think Black people like it either. By the way, again, I've been very, very close to many Black people and Black families in the course of my life. It is destructive to them. It really is. It truly is. I don't know if you know any real Black families that live in this shit, Jon Stewart, but I think maybe you don't. It is destructive to them. Holy shit.
Why?
I don't, to be honest with you, I'm just telling you that's what is the truth. That 30% are still born out of wedlock. It's only born out of wedlock. I mean, it's a complicated question.
Well, that's why I'm asking you to explain it. Tell me.
It's also a function of...
He's tried to.
I think it's a function of social conservatism losing its grip in African-American communities. In the 1930s, the family retention rate, the marriage rate, was, I think, in the 80s, 80%.
Yes.
It was 80% in Harlem in 1928, and it's only 30% now. We need to get it back to where it was, to have a better chance for kids for black kids to succeed. That's
Like, he's rubbing his table. What the fuck is this?
It's because there's no comeback to that, Aiden.
No, because they do not want the black family to succeed. They really don't, and they have to pretend like they have some other game here. That he's just a racist. That he's by him saying he wants the black family to succeed, and I want the black family to succeed. By the way, so they have to act like. Look at the fat, nasty lady's face. She's just like disgusted. You want a black family? There needs to be more abortions.
I guarantee. That's what she really thinks. Sickening, dude.
what I'm talking about.
Because you care about black kids.
That's so. We'll look into that.
Will you? No, you won't.
No, you won't.
Wow, exactly. We'll look into that. What a dismissive cunt.
And we'll get there, but people in those communities want a better quality of life. Whatever we have to do to get there,
and they should have a family to do that.
It's not about broken marriage, please. It's about
yes, it is.
How do we
it's
get
about
people to have
family.
the quality
Yes,
of life
it is
that
about
we
family.
all, as Americans,
this is the
deserve.
crazy
I think
shit.
that
I
we
can't
can
believe
all agree
it's about
on.
family.
And what a wonderful moment of kumbaya.
No, a wonderful moment of kumbaya would be to support the black family. That's what a wonderful moment of kumbaya would be, you fucking ding-dong. That would be a wonderful moment of kumbaya. I hate this shit spin. I really hate it.
At the end, I've appreciated everyone taking the time to do this. Boy, has it pointed out some fault lines, we've got to recalibrate and find a way to be open to all different stripes of white people.
Oh, God, do I want to fucking punch you for what you just said. What a fucking faggy thing to say, seriously. Open to all white people. Oh, God, does it ever occur to you that you maybe need to get the fuck out of the way, maybe, and that you're
the thing is, I don't think John actually believes this shit. He's just saying what he's being told to be, what he's just told to say. Because this is ridiculous, and it's absurdist. It's disgusting. I would say, to my opinion.
No, I agree.
And, like the way he dismisses Andrew outright is very grotesque. We're almost done. We'll get like one more second, 30 seconds.
In the conversation, whether they be people who study it, people who spend their lives trying to change it, or people who are very upset about having to do that.
Oh my God.
Thank
what
you
an
very much,
ass.
Andrew, Sullivan, Lisa, and Chip.
Good on Andrew for at least being able to laugh, but what a dick.
All right, we'll be right back.
All right, well, thank God that's over. Well, it took us, I don't know, 3 hours, 4 hours to deal with that.
Yeah.
4.5 hours.
Pulling Adam and Stitch, to be honest.
We did a little bit to deal with a 20-minute clip. However, I hated that clip. I really despised it. It made me very angry. Would you like to play us out with that Tear album that I gave you? That song.
Are you asking me for that?
Yeah, you're the one who's got the keys now.
Oh, yeah, I do. Hold on a second.
Just play. I was given permission by the percussionist of Tear to do it. So
No,
I would like.
I will pull it up, but I am also playing a game of Tetris because there is a young lady who is going to boast forever if I don't beat her score, and I will not be beaten by a young girl. That will piss me off, and it is emasculating.
Sure. But play this song.
And she can fucking hear me talking right now.
Play us out for our 4.5 hour long stream. I was already told by. He said we might get copyright claimed, but we're going to get copyright claimed probably with their stream no matter what. So, if you might play some Tear for us.